Hello, love wrestling. It is Tuesday morning. It is slightly after 10 a.m. and y'all know what that means. I don't know what was going on with the audio there. It played this thing twice. It played a different thing to start. I don't know what was going on. But it is another edition of Firmly WWE. I am JPJ. You see my man Drew to my, I guess if you're watching from a screen to my right. To my right.
Left.
Is it left?
In person, it's left. On the screen, it's to your right.
Yeah, right? Yeah, that's how that goes.
I have to look to my left. I have to look to my right to look to my left.
This is my left, but it's technically my right, So either way. But we are here. We got Scott already in the chat saying good morning. Good morning, Scott. Hope you're doing well today. We are going to be chatting some WWE today, what happened on SmackDown last Friday and Raw last night as we are approaching Bash. Is it in Berlin or at Berlin? Bash in Berlin, right? Or is it Bash?
I believe so, yeah.
Bash in Berlin. Yeah. So we are approaching there. That is what? Is it next week or the week after? It's a couple weeks away.
Next Sunday or Saturday.
Next Sunday, right? Because this Sunday is All In.
Yeah.
And then next Saturday is Bash in Berlin, right? It's kind of back to back here.
Right.
So, So we're going to be discussing all things like that. But before we dive into that, Drew, first and foremost, how are we doing today, my friend?
Good. We were a little bit late because of me. I've been dealing with some family personal matters. So my apologies on that. And
all right.
But it's okay. It's 50, it's like 60-40 right now.
Right.
I gotta find out some information and then I'll find out.
I'll
give you a better percentage when I find out that new information.
Yeah. Yeah. And Scott has a good thing. Yeah. He says, because they're both pay-per-views and both companies are in Europe, we got 1 p.m. afternoon wrestling the next couple of weeks.
That is going to be wonderful.
Mwah, chef's kiss. This stuff's going to be over by 4 or 5 in the afternoon. Can still go out for dinner and a drink if you need to. God, what a time.
All In can run for 7 hours and it'll still be early when it's over.
So when you guys pop in here on Thursday morning for Firmly AEW, Drew and I will be doing a full All In preview and things of that nature. But that's for Thursday. Tuesdays are for WWE.
That's right.
So let's get it going. SmackDown happened last Friday. It took place from Orlando, Florida. Some good stuff happened on this SmackDown, Drew. Some good stuff happened on this SmackDown. Before we'll get to Raw, which was last night and is the most fresh in our minds. But SmackDown opened last week with a championship coronation of the Queen of the Ring, Nia Jax. There is some news about Charlotte, though, we can talk about. They said that some news came out that she is aiming for a November return. So
I didn't hear that.
Yeah, that is some news that came across the desk yesterday, is that she is aiming for a November return. And the reason why she was in my brain, Drew, is, Nia Jax is the champion. She's going around calling herself Queen of the... she won Queen of the Ring. She has the right to call herself Queen of the Ring. But there is a certain superstar in WWE who refers to herself as the Queen. And that is one Charlotte Flair.
That's right. That is right.
And Charlotte Flair last was on SmackDown before, when she got injured, blew out her knee. I was there in the building when that happened. It was in Providence, Rhode Island last year. Saw it happen right in front of me. Poor thing. She's been gone ever since. But I think it would be a good, pretty first program if she wanted to come back and say, hey, you're calling yourself the Queen? Well, excuse me. I happen to be the Queen around here. And I feel like Charlotte Flair is one of those people that can come back and kind of get inserted into a title match immediately.
Well, not like we haven't seen that before.
Yeah. That's who she is. That's who she is.
Right.
We got Lawrence in the chat saying, hello, buddy. What's going on, man? Hope you are well on this Tuesday. But anyway, so we start with the coronation. Tiffany Stratton, along with Pretty Deadly. I know we have differing opinions on Pretty Deadly, but
we do. And trust me, they're going to continue today.
This is where we disagree, because what you saw on Friday night is exactly why they are essential to the roster of WWE. Because they are hilarious. What they literally, that whole segment in general wasn't that great, but the segment would have really sucked if Pretty Deadly was not in there, because it would have been another tag team or two other people who would have not made that funny. They would have made that atrociously bad to watch instead of being funny. Because it was bad to watch, but it was on purpose that it was on bad to watch, because they are so good at what they do that they made it feel that way. Like, that's exactly why they are so good.
Are we sure that they're supposed to be making it feel that way?
Yeah, they're supposed to be
organically that.
No, because if you've watched them and if you've actually paid attention to their career, they're good at everything they do. So that would have been, you know what I mean? So again, Drew, you just came back to WWE, so you can't talk to me about certain things.
I've been watching since WrestleMania.
Okay, I've been watching for 30 years straight. And Pretty Deadly is pretty fucking good. All right. So don't get me angry on Pretty Deadly to start the show. But, this segment was okay. What this segment did, Nia Jax came out, talked her trash, said she's the champ, she's the best, she's a monster, which is all true. But we saw one Mia Yim interrupt the ceremonies here with kendo stick in hand. And she took everybody out. So it seems that we are going in the direction that Nia Jax's next opponent for the title, it's looking like it's going to be Mia Yim, which I don't have a problem with, because I think they've actually done a pretty good job with Mia Yim on NXT and on the main roster these last little few months or so to kind of position her at a point. Like, she's really done some good work in NXT, Mia Yim, some really good work in NXT.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't she technically drafted to NXT?
No, I thought, was she? I don't remember much of the most recent draft, but was she still part of the OC? Mi Chin, yeah. I call her Mia Yim. She's always going to be Mia Yim to me. Mi Chin is, I don't get it. Was she still part of the OC when they did that draft? Was she drafted as the whole, as the group? Because I don't think they were, because the Good Brothers are now in NXT pretty regularly too, and I don't think any of them were. I don't know. I'd have to go back and look at the draft results, even though, I kind of like I'm not going to say I like the way they're doing it, because I would rather them just stick to the draft, but we got Randy Orton on friggin' Raw right now. Now, again, I like the way they're doing, like, he's specifically on Raw. He's not on both shows. They've made it clear that if he wins the title, he's staying on Raw and Gunther would go to SmackDown. Like, that's at least better. But yeah, I'm not really sure. I would assume she got drafted to one of the main rosters. That would be my guess. But I don't even know where. Like, this is night 2. I don't care about night 2, bro. I just need the full list.
She was drafted into the group for SmackDown.
That's what I thought. Yeah, I thought
They've
the
not
OC
been on
with
SmackDown. They've been on NXT.
Yeah, AJ's been on SmackDown, but they were all great. This was before AJ kind of went heel a bit. Like, they were all still drafted as the group, but then Mi Chin was kind of off to the side. I don't know. She was kind of in the group, but then they did their own thing. Now some of them are on NXT. AJ was a heel, and the Good Brothers were with him, but Mi Chin wasn't. I don't. They kind of. Who knows?
The point is that I'm looking forward to this match.
Yeah, 100%. Mia Yim, you know, whether you want to call him Mi Chin, Mia Yim, whatever you want to call it. The review that I'm looking at calls her Mia Yim, so that's what I'm going by. But this should be good. She's good. This is an opportunity for her. We haven't really seen her at, you know, going for titles and doing this type of stuff. So this is a good little program for her, especially, like I said, she's been doing a lot. She's been going to NXT. She's been doing that. Like, she does a lot of things. Like, I'm totally cool with her getting involved in a title picture where we all know that she's not going to be winning this title from Nia Jax, but it's a good little spot for her to showcase her. And yeah, I got no problem with it. And I thought the segment as a whole, I love the Tiffany Stratton Nia stuff. I think that is just money, what they have here, the way that they talk to each other, the way that Nia kind of bullies her a little bit, but like not. Nia kind of has that.
That was an interesting twist to this.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
He hadn't been doing that prior.
No, but she showed some attitude towards Tiffany at the beginning here, and Tiffany took it in stride. She was like, oh, you know, like kind of doing her thing. But I don't know if that's how they if that's the direction they're going to go here. Like, they're going to be friends, but Nia is going to be like the bully friend who's like, yeah, you're my friend, but.
It's definitely different from, like, remember our first show. I told you I'm worried about this turning into the Alexa Nia thing 2.0.
Yes.
It's definitely different from that. So
it is.
That's a welcome change for me. So I'm happy. And I thought that last night, not last. I thought that on SmackDown last week that that was going to be where Tiffany turned on her.
Oh, you thought it was going to be that quick?
It looked like it in the moment, you know, because they do the which I like. They do the thing where, you know, the person that you think is going to be doing the deed just hangs behind a little bit. You know, the classic Shield moment with the chair and and all those types of heel turns where, you know, the person doesn't see it coming because it's behind them, and then the crowd is going to see it coming and react appropriately. So it kind of like looked like, to me, this is what I thought. I thought Pretty Deadly were there to be the distraction for her to clock her with the briefcase and do the cash in there and win. That was my initial thought.
Yeah.
Before Mia Yim came out, and it was obvious where they were going.
It was obvious that they were there to just take a beating a little bit. They were there to do their thing and take a beating. I mean, it's definitely going to happen. We all know it's going to happen at some point. Like, they're not going to be best friends forever. This is going to set up. I mean, at this point, I feel like, and again, I think this is super early. Like, I think this is going to be going on for a bit. But if you had to guess right now, would they position this to make Tiffany the babyface coming out of here?
Oh, absolutely not.
You sure? You sure? Because I agree with you. I thought that Nia would be the babyface coming out of this breakup, but I don't know.
So you're thinking that because
I'm thinking if they start doing the bully thing, that Tiffany Stratton, which I think it should be the other way around.
Yeah, I don't know if.
But to me, go ahead.
Since she's been in WWE, she's been a heel.
Agreed, and she's very good at it.
Tiffany, I'm talking.
Yeah, but she also has a shtick that, like, the crowd clearly pops for her. They pop when she says Tiffy time. Like, she clearly gets a reaction from the crowd, and it's not always negative. So I could see them. You know, she kind of took the world by storm when she came up, and like the crowd was really behind her, even though she was a heel. The crowd would react like, "Oh, we know this is next. Like, this is the next one. Like, we know." You know what I mean? Yeah. So I could see them trying to go a route where she's the baby face and she's getting Tiffy time and Toodles and all these things are super over and they're on
I love
t-shirt.
what she's done with the briefcase.
Oh my
she's
God,
totally made that briefcase her own.
Yeah, and Nia technically is the one that gave that.
Really
yeah,
cool.
Nia's the one that made that and gave that to her too. So like, there's that
Right.
little aspect. I just, we all knew this was coming. Like we all knew where they were going when they decided to make them a pair. Like obviously,
They could probably make those on WWE Shop and people would buy those.
100% people would buy those if they decided to do that. I'm very intrigued to see where it goes because I like both these women. I think it's going to lead into a really juicy storyline for both of them. And I always thought that I always thought that Tiffany would be the one that would go heel and turn on Nia, and Nia would become the babyface. But they kind of teased, and it's only been 1 week, but they kind of teased it with Nia being a little bit of a bully. That maybe it could go a different way than I was thinking, Drew. But first and foremost, Nia Jax will have to get through Mi Chin, Mia Yim. So they might announce it on Friday. Did they announce that match is happening at Berlin? Did they already say that was happening?
Which match?
Nia and Mi Chin, or have they not announced it yet?
I don't think they announced it.
Okay. That's cool. All right. We then had a backstage segment. The big three, Bianca, Jade Cargill, and Naomi, were in the back talking about Blair Davenport and the Unholy Union. And then, oddly enough, Carmelo Hayes walks by and he says, he rolls up and he's trying to sell them on his after party. He's like, yo, when I beat Andrade tonight, I'm going to have an after party if you girls want to roll through. And they basically blow him off. But they say something like, aren't you 0-2 against Andrade? Like, why don't you hold off a little bit? And I liked what Carmelo did here. Like, Carmelo, as he's putting on his sunglasses, is like, they're watching my matches, though. At least they're watching my matches. Like, he's excited. He's excited that those three are watching his matches, which I thought was like a funny little cute little thing.
Yeah, I'm liking everything they've been doing with Carmelo Hayes and the match.
Well, I was going to say that led in again another match, the third one now between Andrade and Carmelo, and all of these have been excellent, but this particular one on Friday was the best of the three. Very, very good match, as you would expect. These two guys are lights out in the ring. And we saw Carmelo get the one up in this match, and he gets the win. Still only 1-2 in the series. Give these guys a best of 7. Just have them go best of 7 right now. They're already got 3. Just do it, man. Just do it.
Fine with that.
Fine. More than fine with that for these two guys. Mid-card feud with each other that can go best of 7. You can stretch it out. Just let these guys have banger matches. Let the crowd organically get these guys over because the matches are so good. That's what we should be doing. Carmelo gets the victory here, and then afterwards, he's jaw-jacking. Andrade's in the ring. He's going over there. He's having the ref raise his hand a couple times in front of Andrade. He's letting Andrade know, see, I got you. I'm better than you, blah, blah, blah.
I really like this a lot.
Yes. And then Andrade, who's staying cool at first, he's being cool about it at first, but Carmelo just doesn't stop. Andrade snaps, and then they end up brawling, and they need to be separated by security. So this feud is not going anywhere. Which like you said, Drew, I am perfectly okay with these guys. They should give them a best of 7 at this point. That's what I don't know what else you're continuing this along for if you're not going to be doing something like that. But I am digging what they're doing with Andrade and Carmelo. You know, yes. I'm a big Carmelo Hayes guy. You know that. He's from my area, but I'm loving this.
What I really loved about this is that usually you don't get such, like, he was just so over the top and obnoxious about winning that is like, oh, well, you got to attack this guy or else you look like a fool.
Yeah.
So that was like, you don't see that often.
Yeah.
So,
and
I'm going to for Carmelo's character for sure.
Yeah. And I'm going to address this comment. Thank you for the comment, Eugene. Appreciate you. I think that comment right there is doing both Ricochet and Carmelo a disservice. Because Ricochet inside the ring can do things that nobody else on the planet can do, including Carmelo. I know you probably meant this as a compliment. Carmelo to me is way more of a total package than Ricochet is. That is just Ricochet, I think, is better in ring, clearly, because he can do things that, again, nobody has ever seen done in a wrestling ring. Carmelo Hayes on the mic as a character with his in-ring ability is a better total package than Ricochet is. I'm not saying Ricochet can't cut a good promo. They didn't let him ever. But I'm not saying Ricochet can't cut a promo or keep you entertained on that side of the wrestling aisle. But to me, when you're looking at a total package of wrestler, Carmelo Hayes presents more of a total package to me than Ricochet because of what he can do on the mic and with character work that WWE didn't let him do. I'm not going to say Ricochet couldn't do it,
right?
But WWE did not let him do it. So again, on Thursdays, we talk AEW here. We might be seeing Ricochet real soon. Maybe by the end of the week, we might be seeing Ricochet again. So maybe when he shows up next time, we'll be able to see that other side of him more. But WWE did Ricochet a disservice by not letting him. And, it's not like they never let him talk, but they didn't really give him the opportunity to really dig into a character of sorts. He was really just the flippity high flyer guy.
If I go back and remember, most of the talking they had Ricochet do was backstage stuff.
Yes.
I don't remember, aside from like Ricochet in NXT, like NXT North American Championship Ricochet days.
Yep.
He was cutting promos in NXT in the ring regularly.
He was. Yeah, 100%.
But when he was on the main roster, I'm not going to say all, because I'm sure there were some promos in the ring, but most of his promos were backstage promos.
Mm-hmm. Quick, 2 or 3 liners before he's going to a match or coming back. Like it was, I can't remember. And I'm sure there were, I don't remember every little thing that WWE has done. Ricochet was there for 8 years or some shit. But I can't remember a time. And I know there obviously was one, there has to be, but I can't remember a time that I remember Ricochet cutting a promo in the ring, like before a match or to start a show or to just in the middle of a show. I just, hi Ophelia, thank you for lurking. Appreciate you. Yeah, big video game stuff coming out. There's some big games coming out in the video game world. The new Star Wars game's coming out soon. Anyway,
obviously, in WWE as a whole, for me, his most memorable, at least in ring promo, was the promo with Velveteen Dream.
Oh, Oh, yeah, that's NXT. Yeah.
When he just flipped out of the ring.
When he did the flip out of the ring. Yeah. And they definitely let him do more of that stuff in NXT than they did on the main roster. Now, I will say before he decided to leave earlier this year, it did feel like Triple H and the creative team was trying to get him to stay. He was on Raw every week. He was having good matches every week. He was winning matches. At one point, he was just beating the Judgment Day almost every week on Raw. Right before he left, he was having matches and beating people because they wanted him to stay. And then, and then they knew he was leaving, and it was like, okay, we're going to send and it was Braun Breaker. Yeah. And it was Braun Breaker as well. We're going to send you off the real way. Eugene, we do talk all things AEW on Thursdays with Firmly AEW. We do that on our Thursday show. But on All In, I believe it's on Sunday. Yes, I do think I'll give you a little sneak preview. I do think Ricochet is going to show up in that Casino Gauntlet match. I think he's going to be the surprise, and I think he's going to win that match. That's what I think is going to happen at All In. That's what I think. Yo, Omar, what's going on, my friend? Thank you for popping in the chat. He's on.
Everybody follow that.
Go follow this account. Wrestling. Go follow this account, will you? Omar's our boy. All right. Then we have a backstage segment, Drew, with Tama Tonga and Solo Sikoa. Tama Tonga gives Solo Sikoa.
Can we tie all this to the end?
You want to do it all at the end
of the SmackDown portion?
Okay, yeah, we can do that.
Yeah. I have words about this. So.
Oh, you see me on the Discord? Well, thanks for popping in, dude. Yeah, we do this. So me and Drew on Tuesdays at 10 a.m. we do Firmly WWE, and on Thursdays at 10 a.m. we do Firmly AEW. And then you can also catch me on Thursday nights at 8 p.m. right here. I do a show called Between Two Beards, the flagship here, the flagship show of Love Wrestling. So that's where you can find me. But if you're on the Discord, you'll be seeing all my links. I'm annoying. I throw my links in there all the time. All right. So then we get, we'll keep all the Bloodline stuff till the end as one. We get Blair Davenport versus Naomi. We had a 1-on-1 match. This is kind of part of the 3-on-3 they got going on SmackDown with the Unholy Union, who now has Blair Davenport as their kind of leader, I feel like. And then we saw Naomi reunite with Bianca and Jade, not this past SmackDown, but the one last week, where we're having a 6-woman tag here. But this was Blair Davenport 1-on-1 versus Naomi. I thought this match was a pretty good match here. And Blair Davenport gets the victory here over Naomi. So Naomi taking another big L, but a much needed big victory. I mean, she's beating a former world champion. Either way you look at it, Blair Davenport gets a victory over a former world champion, making her look really good and really strong as as this new group on SmackDown. And I don't assume because it's going to be hard to beat the big three, but like, we'll talk about this match first. But then when you think about this 6-woman tag we got coming up here, like, obviously the brain would make you think, well, Jade, Bianca, and Naomi are going to handle business. And it's like, yeah, you're probably right. But wouldn't it make more sense, or wouldn't it be a more important victory for these three, the Unholy Union, to get that victory over those three? Am I crazy?
Yeah, it definitely would.
Yeah.
Considering, all of those 3 women are established women already.
Yeah,
so
even Jade, who's like the newest person of the 3, the least established, like she is way more established than any of the 3 that are in the Unholy. Like way more,
Right. So it would be, I mean, for Blair, I was very surprised that Blair Davenport ended up getting the victory.
Yeah, I thought for sure Naomi was getting not an easy win, but I was like, oh, Naomi's got this. And then I was like, whoa, all right, cool.
Yeah, they gave it a commercial break too. So
yeah, it got
not
time.
Like, oh, it's a little bit of a mini semi-squash match or something.
Yeah, exactly.
But then Blair ended up picking up the victory. It's like, oh, okay, that was not what I was expecting. So,
No.
So that was a pleasant surprise.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I mean, was I 100% paying attention to this? Not really, but it's growing on me. So that's a positive sign.
Yeah. We then had A-Town Down was backstage, and they were bickering with each other for a little bit as they're still kind of leaning towards them not being a team anymore. But then they start talking trash about Kevin Owens. And what do you know? Right after they start talking trash about Kevin Owens, guess who walks by in the background? Kevin Owens. He hears them, and he kind of walks up right as Grayson Waller is really like on a roll, making fun of KO. And KO just goes, he agrees with Grayson Waller. He says, hey, you're right. That's why I turned down the title match. That's why I did that, because you're right. But then he goes, but guess what? I'm booking ourselves a match right now with you because I'm going to prove that you're a loser and a moron. Basically, that's what KO says. And then there were a couple of things. We did get a memorial graphic for Alpha as the other Wild Samoan passed away last Thursday or Friday. I believe it was the day of SmackDown. I believe it was last Friday. He passed away.
Friday morning. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is just unfortunate. Absolute legend. Only dies a couple months after his brother, Sika, Roman's dad. So the Wild Samoans kind of taken from us kind of right after each other. But so we get the graphic there. And it's just crazy to me how obviously nobody times for, people to pass away or stuff like that. But like the fact that the Bloodline are Tanner coming in. I'm going to save that question. Yeah,
that's going to be our main event.
Oh, yes, that'll be our main event segment. So we'll talk about that question. It's crazy to me that the Bloodline, and especially like the Uafala and the necklace that the Wild Samoans gave to Roman all those years ago, 3 or 4 years ago. It's crazy to me how that's been the center of this story. And now you have these two Wild Samoans, unfortunately, that have passed away. And we're just in the center of this bloodline story, dealing with that necklace that was really started by them. It's just, the timing of it, and just as sad and as, as tough as it is, like the timing of it is just, it's incredible. Really, that like these guys, we're honoring these guys who are leaving us. We're honoring them with graphics and videos and all this praise, as we should, but we're kind of honoring them by watching the TV shows, because the TV show and the main story on the TV show is really centered around the legacy of that whole family, and like, it's just crazy. It's crazy when you think about it, right? Like when you think about it that way, it's nuts.
It is because now famously during the start of the real, heating up of the bloodline years ago, Alpha and Sika
were there,
presented him
correct
in person the Ulafala.
Yeah, they put it over his neck, like they put it on him when he won the title. Like they were like, "This is you're the guy here." Crazy,
and that was like really that was a powerful moment in the Bloodline saga, and it's terrible that they're both gone now. That's the meaning of life, unfortunately. And then for Rock to be kind of integrated into this year with his father being the High Chief, and it's
grandfather.
A grandfather, right? Sorry.
Yeah.
It's like, it's crazy, like that all of this happened this year, and then unfortunately we lose two of them.
But I can't help but think of
the pinnacles of the family.
Yeah, two of
very
them,
unfortunate.
like two of the
our love to the entire family, of
course. Oh, for sure. I mean, those are two giant losses. I just, and it's kind of one of those things where, like, you get sad and you're like, man, that stinks. That's unfortunate. But then you look at what's happening, even this same night that Alpha passes away, you look at the ending segment that we're going to talk about, and it's like their whole heritage and their whole history and their whole family has been the center of WWE television for the last 5 years. And it's just like, all of that doesn't happen without these dudes. You know what I mean? So it's crazy how it's kind of full circle. You know what I mean? Like the sons and the nephews and the little brothers and little cousins are all in a position now that these forefathers, these Wild Samoans, the High Chief, Rocky Johnson, they all paved the way for these guys to be doing what they're doing. And it's just nuts. It's just nuts. It's really cool when you look at it from like a larger perspective. We come back from commercial, and the NXT heavyweight champion, all ego Ethan Page, is sitting front row at SmackDown. Just thought that was a nice little. I know they're starting to co-promote, and that's why it was, but Ethan Page should not be that far away from being on SmackDown himself, because that guy is money. Anyway, then we had this Grayson Waller Kevin Owens match. It was a pretty good match. It was, back and forth, nothing too crazy. But Kevin Owens, I will say this, Drew. Kevin Owens gets the victory, and you know how he won? He won with the pop-up powerbomb, which made me feel good. Not that I dislike the stunner, but I've always been don't do other people's moves. The pop-up powerbomb was Owens' own finisher. He still uses it, but he usually wins now with the stunner.
Usually he does the pop-up powerbomb and then the stunner, but they did it the opposite way.
Exactly. They did it the opposite way, which I like, because the pop-up powerbomb, that's Owens' move. That's Kevin Owens' move. I'm glad he won the match with it. But it was really what happened after the match. Post-match, KO goes to hit another powerbomb, but we see Austin Theory come in there and A-Town down. They have chairs. They look like they're going to take out KO, but Cody Rhodes comes down. He makes the save. The heels run off. So then Cody turns around to go for his belt, but KO picks up the title first. And then, you have your little moment where like Cody's like, hey, and he's looking at the title and he's looking at KO. He's like, what's going on here? What are you doing? I thought we were friends. And KO is looking at the belt and he's like, but then Owens, he looks at the belt for a moment and then he kind of pushes it on Cody's chest. Like he goes, there's your belt. And he walks away. And that is how this segment ends. So, we have another 2 SmackDowns. We have this SmackDown and next SmackDown before we get to Bash in Berlin next Saturday. And obviously this match was made with, they're not feuding against each other. They're friends. There's no hatred here. But this match was made because Cody felt that KO deserved the match, even though KO himself thinks he doesn't. This was a little bit of, hey, I'm still a good guy, but like, you're crazy if I don't want this, man. You're crazy if I'm not thinking about doing what I have to get this, but we're friends. Here you go.
Know what I think though? What was really pivotal about this moment was the promo in the back with Grayson Waller. I think that I think was going to be seen, as we look in the future for the next 2 SmackDowns. I think that promo is what we're going to point to like, oh, so that's why Kevin changed his tune.
It's possible. Yeah.
Like the way that he was like agreeing with all that negativity.
Yeah.
Was like, that's been digging at you for a little while, hasn't it?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And so it's going to be really interesting to see how Kevin grows from this. Is it going to be a respectful bout between the two of them, or is it going to be hey, I'm tired of people feeling like this is how
I'm tired of people feeling sorry for me or thinking that I'm a joke, or that type of thing, and then that turns KO to snap, and maybe after the match, or maybe within a couple weeks after the match, he's turning on Cody, and then it's a longer form thing with KO and Cody.
The words of Grayson Waller should be inconsequential to anybody. Grayson Waller. Now I'm just saying, as a person, who is Grayson Waller? Grayson, while he's been a tag champion, he does not have the accolades of Kevin Owens.
No.
And the storied long career of Kevin Owens. So this little scamp just like saying, oh, who's he? Shouldn't really like get under your skin.
No, it shouldn't.
Sometimes, and this is what I like about the just the natural human aspect of this. Sometimes the lowest person on the totem pole will say one thing, and that's what sets you off.
100%. 100%.
So that's why I could definitely see this promo with Grayson Waller as the pivotal moment in KO's mind, where he's like, you know what? That is what a lot of people are saying about me. I got to change that.
Yeah, I like that. And we might as well talk about this now, because we don't really talk about Cody the rest of the time. This was the only thing that Cody was doing. So Tanner Lee, our buddy, from the Kicking Out podcast, he says, how would you guys book the rest of Cody Rhodes's title run? He says, I know, as in he knows who he would have take the title off him and how he would book the title through Mania, but he wants to know our opinions. So, I mean, I have Randy Orton beat him. and I have Randy Orton as a heel hold the title. I wouldn't have Cody win the Rumble again, because 3 in a row is just way too much. But that would be the WrestleMania match for me on the SmackDown side of things, would be Cody and Randy for the title. That's what I would do. Although John Cena being thrown into the mix, I could get bought into a John Cena Cody Mania match as well.
There are a couple of really.
You can't forget about Roman either. When the Bloodline stuff's over, either Roman's going to be going for that title, like at some point, right?
There's a lot of excitement and interesting prospects around for both championships, not just for Cody's, but for Gunther's too.
Yeah, because Cena and Gunther is a match. Give me right away. I want it. It's a lot of stuff going on.
Actually, for what Scott said, I actually think that would be interesting if they decided to do Cody and Gunther on the first Netflix.
What, champ versus champ?
Raw.
Or you think they're both champs at that point? Or you think
no, I'm saying that the first the first main event of Netflix on Raw is Gunther versus John Cena for the World Heavyweight Championship.
That'd be a good one.
I think that would be a really, really good way to start Netflix on Raw.
Yeah.
Raw on Netflix, I mean. And so I would there's too many options right now, because I also heard somebody say that oh, okay. So Tanner.
Well, so Tanner says
kind of
he agrees with me. He has Randy as a heel taking it off Cody at the Rumble. That would work because right now Randy's on Raw, so you stretch that out a little bit. That would work. And then he says he has Cena winning the Rumble and then beating Orton at Mania for his 17th, and that would put him as the sole person with the most world. I definitely think Cena. If you're asking me next year if Cena is going to win the world title and get number 17, right now I would be leaning no. But I do think he's going to fight for championships next year. But I don't know. That's a good way to do it, Tanner, though. I mean, we're definitely getting Cena. And I am of the belief, though, that the Cena-Orton match should be his last match. I think that should be John Cena's last match should be against Randy Orton. That's how I feel.
I wouldn't hate that.
Yeah. I would not mind. I mean, look, there's a lot of matches. I could get down with Cena and Gunther at Mania. I could get down with Cena and Cody at Mania. I could get down with Cena and CM Punk at WrestleMania. Please and thank you. I could get down with that being the last Cena and Punk match happening at WrestleMania. That would be more than okay with me. But then there's dudes like, do I think Cena and Braun Breaker for the IC title at Mania, if Braun still has it, could hump? Absolutely. I think that would be a great moment for Braun Breaker. There's a lot of ways to go in, but I do agree with you, Tanner. I think Randy's the dude that takes the belt off Cody. I think Randy's the dude, and that will give him what, 16? So he would tie Flair and Cena, right? He's at 15, Randy, yes. I believe. Yeah. So then he already announced last week as we were doing this show live, he signed a 5-year extension.
That's right. Yeah.
That means that he's wrestling until he is 50. So he has plenty of time to be the guy that ends up with the most championships, if we're being honest. Maybe it is Randy that ends up with the most when we're talking 5 years from now of all these guys. I don't know. But when we're talking Cody like that, they called him a 15-time champion, though, on TV already. So is there one we're forgetting? Because they already refer to him as a 15-time world champion. But there's a lot of ways you can go with it. But I agree with Tanner. I think Randy's the guy. I think heel Randy turning on Cody and winning that belt as a heel. I think that's the way you do it. Whether Cody wins it back right away or down the line, fine. But I think Randy's the dude. I think Randy's the guy.
Yeah, I think right now it makes sense for it to be Randy. But then there's also the final boss,
and I said there's Roman is doing other things currently, but he's still Roman Reigns. So once he's done with Solo and gets the ship back, and he's the head of the table again, they've already addressed it on television. Like Nick Aldis was trying to make the Roman Reigns Cody World Title match, and that's when Kevin Owens was like, you know what, F it, I will take the match. Because that guy doesn't deserve it. He doesn't deserve it more than I don't deserve it. So F you, I will take the match because that guy, screw that guy. But Aldis was already in canon talking about Roman and Cody again.
I'll be honest with you. I don't know if we get Roman and Cody again.
That's fine. I personally think once Raw goes to Netflix, that one of them needs to go to Raw. They need to separate these two. They should not be on the same roster as each other. And yeah, Eugene, that's what Drew just mentioned. He said, "What about The Rock?" He did say he was coming back for Cody. They had unfinished business, so that match has to happen at some point too.
They could do something interesting where maybe instead of it Gunther and Cody. Well, you see, yeah, this is going to depend on who's where when Raw goes to Netflix.
100%.
There was now for the Fanatics thing over the weekend. There was a poster.
I saw this, and who was on that
where
poster in the background?
Raw Netflix, where there was a poster for Raw on Netflix.
Yeah,
and the Bloodline was
not with
in
Roman.
that.
No, not Roman. It was Solo, Fatu. It was the current Bloodline: Solo, Fatu, and the Samoa and the Tongans.
So, what does that? Does that mean then that
Cody and Roman
maybe
are together on SmackDown?
Maybe Cody goes to Raw,
and the WWE Championship is on Raw, and then the other championship goes to SmackDown?
Could it be then that the first Raw on Netflix is Cody versus The Rock for the championship? I mean, because they've also moved. Isn't the Royal Rumble is not in January anymore?
I think it is either at the end of January or early February, because they really don't have a February pay-per-view. Because it's in Indianapolis, so Tanner might even know because that's in his neck of the woods. Right. Did they officially move it to February? Is that true?
I think if I remember correctly,
I'm Googling it right now.
Yeah. So that could mean then that the Raw on Netflix becomes.
It's Saturday. So it's Saturday, February 1st. So it's the last weekend of January, basically. Yeah. So technically it is in February, Saturday, February 1st. Wow.
And that might be a first for that event, honestly.
Oh, yeah. It's always been in January. It's always been in January.
So they could make that first Raw on Netflix be a big pay-per-view like deal.
Because the first Raw on Netflix would be before this, correct? Yeah, because it's moving January 2025. It's the first week of January.
Yeah.
So they could. I assume they're going to treat that as close to a PLE pay-per-view as you can.
And we don't even know what that's going to look like.
No. Are there going to be commercials? I have no idea. I have no idea.
I
have premium Netflix because I'm a bougie bitch. Now, do I get no commercials? Because that's what I've been led to believe. My ass is paying $20 a month for Netflix because I'm a piece of trash and I'm bougie, and that's how I don't want ads in my way. Am I supposed to be getting commercial-free Raw? Even though I know they're going to say it's commercial-free Raw, but I'm going to get 19 WWE ads throughout the 3 hours of Raw, but they're going to say it's commercial-free.
Yeah, the first hour being free is never really the first hour being free of
28 minutes of the 54 minutes are WWE promos and commercials. It's never commercial free for real. But anyway, we digress. As we continue to move forward, we see Solo Sikoa and Tama Tonga here again. What I forgot to mention at the beginning of the show when we saw Tama Tonga and Solo is that that's why. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. So I should hold off on this then, right? Too. We're waiting for everything. Either way. All right. Back from commercial. We'll skip it. We'll save it for the end. We get a Legado del Fantasma video package. Angel Gaza is basically hyping up Santos Escobar.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hyping, yes.
Yes, he's hyping.
That's what you're saying.
Yes. He's hyping up Santos Escobar. And then Santos Escobar says they've gotten complacent about being disrespected every week, and he's going to turn things around and take LA Knight out. That's what he says. LA Knight then makes his entrance, and he grabs a mic from the stage. He is talking trash. Oh man, he's talking trash, and he's making fun of their little dinner scene that they said. And he said next week there's a good chance Santos forgets where he is when he knocks his little churro in the dirt with a BFT. And then he says, "You can call me trash, and I might be trash mixed with flash, but this trash will put you on your ass any day of the week." That's what LA Knight said, his little rhyme there. And that was it. That was the end. That was the end of the LA Knight promo. Pretty good.
I very much enjoyed that little mafia style
legato
thing
thing?
that the
Yes.
legato was doing.
I agree.
Angel Garza, beautiful man, and yeah, I'm really enjoying that whole thing. So I would like to, they're going to do this match. Maybe Santos. Well, I mean, he's not going to win because LA Knight just got the title.
Yeah. But I can see this like going longer. Like this doesn't have to be a one-off thing for me.
No,
I think
don't think it
Santos
will
and
be.
LA Knight could do a pretty like, multi-month kind of little program here that could be really good. Santos Escobar is really, really good. He's really, really good. And if they give him something like this that's non-LWO, they've been in that mix for so long that like give Santos something like this with like a guy he hasn't worked before and give him time to cut promos and do these vignettes and have good matches. Like he's really good. He's really good. I would like to see this go on for a while.
Yeah. Now I will say I like LA Knight's new
music. Yeah.
Which is rare for me to say for Def Rebel.
Yeah.
But the reason why I like it the most is because the beginning of it didn't change.
Yeah.
It's still that same LA Knight and that like beginning beat.
Yeah.
And then it kind of trails off into this new song.
Yeah.
If you're going to change music, that's how you do it. Because it's recognizable, at least.
Yeah. I agree.
I agree. You can't just change somebody's music and then all of a sudden expect like, oh, hey, this person's coming out. That's not the way to do it. So I like that they did it this way. I'm going to talk about somebody else's music when we get to Raw.
Fair.
That I don't like, but this one I did like.
Yeah. Well, we got Tom Talks Rubbish popping in the chat saying, "What's up, my guys? What's going on with you? Hopefully you're doing well today, Tom." We then had a backstage segment with Chelsea Green and Piper Niven running into Mia Yim. They're trying to make nice with her and get on her good side. But she kind of laughs them off and she says, "I got a title match. Like, stop bothering me. I got a title match to think about." Or she's got to get herself a title match. That's what. And then Green and Niven rush into Nick Aldis's office trying to get their own match. And then Nia Jax blindsides Mia. And then at that point, Nick Aldis rushes out of the office and they break it up and stuff like that. So it kind of goes into a little bit, but it looked like Chelsea Green and Piper were trying to get on Mia Yim's good side. Mia Yim said, "Hey, I got other things on my mind. I got to go get myself a title match." Then Piper and Chelsea try to like get in front of Mia Yim to Nick Aldis to try to get themselves a match. And then Nia and Mia get into it. Mia, there's so many, the IAs are driving me nuts. And stuff like that. Then we get the number one contenders tag team match between DIY and the Street Profits. We saw on last week's episode of SmackDown, they both won qualifying matches to get this match. This was the main event match of the evening, and it was a good one. These four guys had one hell of a tag match here, Drew. I was shocked by the outcome, to be honest with you. We saw DIY. Yeah, because we saw DIY win the titles. And then we saw them immediately lose them. I thought they were going to win this and get like one more chance to get their belts back against the Bloodline. I thought that's the way we were going here. But as we saw, the Street Profits actually with the Doomsday device that they do, they actually won this very good tag match. So it seemed that we are going to get the Street Profits versus the Bloodline for the WWE Tag Team Champions. Obviously have no problem with the Street Profits going for the belts. They're one of the better tag teams in the last decade or so. I just thought that this was going to be DIY getting their chance to win their belts back. That's just where I thought this was going. But they clearly are going a different direction here with the Street Profits. I have no issue with that whatsoever.
I felt like this was the Street Profits match to win, actually. I just felt opposite because I thought that they would give DIY
kind of like, hey, all right, yeah, you guys lost your belts kind of quickly. Here's another chance to try to get them back, type of thing. I thought that's where they were going to go. But yeah,
I can
but
see
either way, I mean, the tag match itself between DIY and the Street was excellent. It was very good. But yeah, we're going to have the Street Profits and the Bloodline. This is a match I don't expect the Street Profits to win. However, they haven't really, they've I feel like for a long time, a lot of us have been waiting for that, Montez Ford singles push, or, hey, are the Street Profits going to go do separate things or whatever. But I mean, they just keep on kicking and they keep on doing their thing. And now they're going to be going against the Bloodline for the tag team championships. What do you think about this tag match to determine the number one contender? No? Did you hear me?
I'm sorry. What?
I said, what did you think? I said, what did you think of the tag match here between these two?
No, I really like this a lot, and I think why I'm more happy that Street Profits won is because I just really like that pairing so much, and I'm not saying I don't like Johnny and Tommaso, but I don't know. I feel like maybe they're leaning in a different direction. Actually, Scott just brought it up there.
Yeah, I did see that.
I feel like maybe there's a split coming soon in the tag division on SmackDown, probably with Austin Theory and Grayson Waller.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll need like another heel tag team to fill that void. I think DIY might fit in there.
That's fair. I mean, yeah, we know they can do both. I just feel like they've done such a good job of getting DIY to this underdog babyface stature that the crowd gives them. You know what I mean? Like, I felt like when DIY was first starting the team again on the main roster, they weren't really getting any reaction. And I felt like WWE has done a really good job of getting them that underdog babyface reaction from the crowd week in and week out. Like, I felt like, even though these were two babyface tag teams, I felt like on SmackDown, the crowd was pulling more for DIY than they were the Street Profits. That's what I felt watching that match. And again, what I want them to do is I want them to just do the exact same story they did in NXT with DIY on the main roster. That's just what I want. Make them this lovable underdog tag team that everybody loves. And then I want Tommaso Ciampa to rip Johnny Gargano's heart out again in front of it. I just want a rinse and repeat. Just give me the same story, but on the main roster. That's what I want. But now, okay, let me ask you this. So Scott brings it up. We see the DIY kind of interview with Candice in the background. We know Indy is involved with Candice, and Indy is not going to be involved with Dexter Lumis anymore because he's doing other things. If they do break up, Grayson Waller and Austin Theory, do we think Austin Theory could find himself back in the way kind of thing and maybe going the route of being, do we think we could see like kind of the way with Ciampa would obviously be in at this time, which he was not in NXT. Mm-hmm. But do we think there's a possibility where they could kind of do something like that?
I had this thought, and I may have mentioned it last week or the week before. I don't remember. When it comes to breaking up A-Town Down Under, it seemed like Austin Theory was going to be the babyface.
Yeah, because Grayson Waller's doing a lot of stuff to kind of leave Austin Theory hanging, leaving him dry a little bit.
However, I think I've changed my tune on that a little bit because, listen, say what you want about Austin Theory. Not a lot of people like him.
Really good in the ring.
He's really good in the ring. Absolutely.
Really, really good.
I don't know him personally, but I've met him a number of times.
Swell fellow.
When he was in Evolve.
Yeah.
He's a really, really kind person, really friendly.
Yeah.
And
he's still only 25.
Yeah, he's like 26.
Like he's stupid young still.
I think probably the better thing to do with that team is have Austin Theory be the heel. And that's because when he was a babyface for a little bit, didn't really do anything for him.
I agree.
He's got a really good heel personality.
Mm.
I think Grayson also has a very good heel personality. Kind of a little bit better than Austin Theory's. But
I think Grayson can also be a babyface a lot better than Austin Theory, because I think his personality can swing both ways.
Yes, I agree with that. That's exactly where I was going. And I think that we will see a better... I think they'll be better managed with Austin Theory as the heel and Grayson Waller as the face. I think that dynamic there. I think that the trajectory of the careers from that point on will look better with them in those roles.
Yeah. Now, I don't disagree with you, but if we think DIY is going heel, potentially linking up with Candice and Indy and the kind of creating a little thing over here, and they break these up, and Austin Theory is the heel. I think
the puzzle pieces fit together.
I think that Austin Theory's best character work that he has done under the WWE umbrella was when he was with The Way, because he was that goofy idiot, kind of just athletic goon, jock, whatever you want to call it. That was his character, like the idiot, good looking, best athlete in the team, but a friggin' rock for brains person. That was his best work, and it worked. And even though he was a bad guy, people loved it. He was getting laughs, and it just worked. I feel like that character could work again. And I think if DIY is heading that way, and we're seeing an integration with Candice and maybe Indy, and they're getting a group, like, I mean, give me Austin Theory back with them and like a new version of The Way. Like, I love The Way when they were in NXT.
I will be honest too. I think that whole Vince McMahon thing from 2 years ago.
Oh yeah.
I think that kind of made it worse for him.
It did. And I think what they're doing now, or what they need to do, is they're trying to just kind of wash that away. I think they're trying to wash that away, so that's out of people's brains, and you really only think of Austin Theory as what you're seeing now. Because I think that the Vince McMahon thing, and then you had the cash in after, like, that whole stretch for Austin Theory, like, it could, for a lot of people, that could have been career ending. Honestly, it could have been career ending, and it hasn't been with him. He's tag champion, former, like, he's been okay, but yikes. All right, we are at the main event segment of SmackDown. We'll kind of lump everything back together here, but it involves the new Bloodline. At the beginning of the night, the show started with Tama Tonga and Solo Sikoa. Tama Tonga is giving the necklace to Solo Sikoa, and Solo Sikoa says, he goes, hey, if Roman gets this necklace, so he's basically saying, like, we can't have Roman get the necklace, right? I'm the tribal chief. I'm the head of the table. This is my necklace. However, Solo says, if Roman does get the necklace, you will have to, and he's looking at Tama Tonga, he goes, you will have to acknowledge him as the tribal chief, as will I, because he will have this necklace. So we can't let him get the necklace. That's basically the gist of what he said.
Yes.
And I said, okay, what? I went, all right. Okay. I kind of was like, this is how I was looking at my TV screen. I went like this. I went, okay. So so then we fast forward. Solo Sikoa, right before they go to commercial, before the segment, he's going to make his entrance. He's flanked by Tama Tonga. He comes back. They're in the ring. He demands that Orlando acknowledge him. Orlando is just chanting OTC. They want nothing to do with it. Solo says he sees how it is. Don't acknowledge him, but one man has to. and he calls Roman Reigns out and tells him to come take the Tribal Chief's garland from him if he wants it. You want this? Come get it. Roman makes his entrance. Solo takes off the necklace. He gives it to Tama Tonga. And he basically says, go stand in the corner. Get out of here. Get out of here. So they stare down with each other. Solo tries to punch Roman. Roman blocks it. They start going. They're going off the ropes. Roman hits a leaping clothesline. Solo's down. Tama Tonga attacks Roman from behind. And then Roman lays out Tama. He gives him a rock bottom, actually. He gave him a rock bottom, basically. A Uranagi / rock bottom to Tama Tonga. Great. Easter egg there. Throws him to the floor. He's getting ready to clear the announce desk. He's going to powerbomb Tonga through the desk, but Solo gets back up, recovers. They go back inside the ring. Solo's going with him. He goes for the Samoan spike. Roman misses it. Hits the Superman punch. He's calling for a spear. Hold on. I have all my notes here. Reigns goes to the corner. He goes to grab the necklace. And he goes to the middle of the ring. The crowd is losing their mind. He lifts the necklace up like this big, dramatic thing that's going on here. He lifts the necklace up. He puts the necklace over it. It looks like I don't want to get dirty, but it looks like he literally has a moment once that necklace hits his body again. It just out of body experience for Roman. Just unbelievable. And as he's sitting there,
you're in my thoughts now. What
are
you doing in here? Get out. Get out of my head. Get out of my head.
The second it happened, Friday night, I'm sitting on my couch and I go, did he just climax? That's what it looked like. Anyway, so I have never been head of the table. I have never worn the Uwafala. I don't know what kind of powers it has. Maybe that's the power. I don't know. So as he's doing this, we see a returning Jacob Fatu in a walking boot and all. He super kicks Roman Reigns. He starts mounting punches. He throws Roman into the post. Then you got that famous picture that's been going all over the internet with Roman's eyes, and he looks like a doll. Very bizarre. Very bizarre.
What happens when the Samoan's ass is in your face?
Yeah, literally. He hammers Roman in the corner. He gives him that little butt thing that they do, the Samoan butt charge, whatever he's doing. And then
that's when the face happened.
Yes.
After he did that.
After he did that. Because, what are you going to do? He might have farted. We don't know. So it's all sorts of things. And SmackDown ends, Drew. Unbelievable. So, all right. They pull him to the outside. They give him the Shield triple powerbomb through the table.
Yeah.
And then they drag him back in. And the show ends with the 4 Bloodline guys standing over a laid out Roman Reigns with the ones in the air. And that's how the show ends.
Well, 3, because Tonga Loa was.
Oh, yeah, Tonga Loa was there. That's right. There's only 3 of them. So that's how the show ends. And I'm sitting there, and I'm like, that's the first time in 5 years that Roman Reigns has been beaten down like that. Honestly. He's lost matches. He lost to Cody. But honestly, and that show ended with Roman Reigns laid out on the ground with people standing over him. It has been 5 years.
You know what the last time
probably
was?
Probably more like 4. But it's been literally pre-pandemic era since we've seen Roman Reigns.
I know when the last time he was laid out like that was.
Probably. It's been literally 5 years. That is nuts.
It was.
Was it with Bray?
No. It was the day that he got covered in dog food.
Oh, by Baron Corbin. It might have been after that. I don't know. He took more beatings as the babyface, did he? Right?
But that was right towards.
Because he had to go away after that. Because he was there until COVID, and then he was like, "I'm out. I'm not messing around." 2019 Baron Corbin. Scott, yeah, Scott, he said he might be right. 2019 That is 5 years since we've seen Roman Reigns looking like that. That is crazy. That was the first thing that popped in my brain. It was a great segment. But like that was the first thing that popped into my brain was like, when was the last time Roman Reigns was laid out like that? Looking like that vulnerable, looking like that. That unbelievable. It's been so long since we've seen that. I thought it was a great.
So I have one glaring issue with this whole thing.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it had to do with the Ulafala, which I know we've talked about.
Was it because Roman? Did you not like the dramatic?
Oh no,
that it gave Roman.
Listen, if the Ulafala had those powers, give that shit to me because good lord,
that's what it looked like. That's what it looked like. It looked like it had some special powers, very least.
If it's better than sex, I mean, I don't know.
It might be.
My biggest problem with it was the first promo of the night.
Yes.
Solo is telling Tama Tonga, this stays with me, and Roman's got to try and get it off of me. And if Roman gets it off of me, then, yeah, he's successful and blah-de-blah and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They get in the ring. Roman comes down. He takes the damn thing off.
Yeah. Well, he wanted to protect it. Can't get it because he was ready to fight. He's like, I'm not going to be fighting with this thing, huh?
No, but it shouldn't. I wouldn't have had him take it off because the symbolic moment of this, while they've now kind of ruined it because they put it on Roman on Friday.
Oh, yeah.
The symbolic moment of this was supposed to be Roman taking it off of Solo.
Yes.
Now that's gone. That mystique is over because he had it on him, and it wasn't because he took it off of Solo. It's because it was just on the ground.
It's fair.
So I was like, what? But we did this whole. What was the point of that whole promo then? Because it was supposed to be Roman that takes it off of you. Not you just handing it to somebody and it just happened to be laying on the floor.
Mm-hmm. That's fair.
So that I got annoyed with because I was like, "Well, it's like he's taking it off." I'm like shouting at my screen. Why are you doing?
Don't do that! Don't do it! Yeah.
First of all, you lose the climax powers of the Ulafala.
That is true, and that's the one thing.
Your life is just miserable until it goes back on you.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like we're being so disrespectful about that thing. If that's honestly disrespectful, I apologize.
That's not disrespectful. No, that's what it looked like. Anyway, continue.
I wanted it to be, okay, there's going to be a big moment, probably in the pay-per-view match between the two of them, PLE match between the two of them.
Yep.
And then the moment is Roman gets that Ulafala off of Solo, puts it on him, crowd rejoices, but they ruined it. They took it away from me.
Yeah, but that's why, because it was so close. But now you got to wait for it more. That's how they get you.
No, but they did it already. There's no doing it anymore. It's over.
No, because he didn't end up keeping it. He didn't end up keeping it.
The moment. It's about the moment, and they did it. So it's over. If it happens again, it's not going to mean anything because it's already happened. He already had it on him.
Him actually leaving with it will mean
leaving. Okay, that's a different story. But the listen, everything I've been told about WWE is it's all about the moment.
Yeah,
you did the moment already. The first time Roman Reigns puts that Ulafala back on should be the definitive victory over Solo Sikoa. And the feud is done. And he is now the tribal chief again. It's over. You blew it. The moment is over.
Yeah, I disagree. I don't look at it that way at all, to be honest with you.
Ophelia. Thank you, Ophelia. She's backing me up. You only get one first.
Yeah, you do. But I feel like that again. I look at it and I'm like, no, that wasn't the moment. It was close to the moment. It was close. Like, yes, he actually
now
put
what
it over.
Well, now hold on. Wait, what they could have done?
Jacob Fatu is the centerpiece of what happened there. So it was like, yeah, Roman, you almost got it, but no, you got to go through this motherfucker. And that's
this. But now here's the thing. This what would have totally rectified this, and I would have had no issue at all. He takes the Ulafala from the floor. He holds it in his hands. He's got it open. He's raising it above his head. He's about to put it on. Bam! Friggin' Jacob Fatu hits him with a super kick. Doesn't get to put on a neck. He doesn't put on the Ulafala. He's there. It's about to happen. He's so in the moment that he's about to put this back on. Doesn't see. Here comes Jacob Fatu. Boom! Super kick. Falls to the ground. Ulafala never on his neck. That would be totally fine with me. I'd be like, oh, that was perfect. And I was waiting for someone, anybody, to attack him before he put it on. And it didn't come. I was like, oh, okay. So I guess he's the tribal chief again because he's wearing it. That's what we were just told.
But that's not what happened, though. Because he ain't wearing it right now. He wore it for a second. So that's how I kind of viewed it. Like, all right, he's got it on. Okay. But even me, as I was sitting there, I was going, no, that's just not how this has ended. No.
It's not. I'm not saying that's now it's over because it's not over, clearly.
Yeah.
But the moment of putting the Ulafala back on Roman Reigns is done. It happened already. Like, that should be the thing that happens to signify this is it. He is now the head of the table again. Whatever.
It's fair.
But they did it already. So that's why that's why I got annoyed with it, because I was expecting somebody to attack him before he finished putting it on. And he just put it on and the crowd goes crazy. It was like, oh, okay. Well, so that's it. That's the moment. You did it. So, that's me. That's how I think. We think differently.
Yeah.
I see we have a lot more differences on the WWE show than the AEW show. But I like that.
Like I see your point, but I still feel like a month from now, when he actually beats Solo and really gets it and puts it on, like, that crowd is going to be going as apeshit as they were on Friday, if not a little bit. Like, I don't think it hinders anything. I just don't. It's the way they're telling the story. You know what I mean?
It won't hinder it necessarily. I agree with you there.
That's just my personal view of it.
But I just for me, I would have just preferred the first time and Ophelia,
but never happened. Like, never happened.
It happened. It was gonna happen. It was happening. And here comes the super.
Yeah, which I understand.
He's grabbing it. Here comes Solo. And then finally, the first time, the definitive time, is it's over. The match is done. We haven't seen him wear this Ulafala in months.
Yeah.
And then, big moment, lifts it, puts it over his head, rests on his shoulders, big crowd pop. That's it. And now he's the tribal chief again.
Well,
but they didn't.
We'll see. Well, I don't think Roman is advertised for another SmackDown until September 16th. So I think Roman is going to be gone here at least till after Bash at Berlin. So I don't think he'll be there on this Friday. He's not going to be there next Friday unless it's a surprise.
He probably is going to be selling that beatdown for a few weeks.
I would think so. At least this Friday he's selling it. But I don't believe he's making the travel to Berlin. He's not on that card. I don't think he'll be involved. So I would not be shocked if we don't see him until the SmackDown after Bash at Berlin at the earliest. So they'll sell this beatdown for a week or two. Obviously, we know that Jacob Fatu was wearing a boot during this segment. He was moving fine, clearly. Looked like as good as Jacob Fatu as we've seen, but he was wearing a boot. So I don't know Well, we got Eugene saying he sees both points. I don't think you can go wrong either way. Like, again, I fully understand what Drew's saying. I just don't think it's going to hamper anything when we get to that moment.
I definitely understand that mine is a bit more of a nitpicking criticism. I get it. Nobody has to come after, nobody's going to come after me because I'm not as popular as Sean Rossap or any of the popular people. But I understand that my point is more of a nitpicking type of a thing. I get it.
Oh, yeah. And we got Spencer popping in saying, good morning. Good morning, friend. Yeah, I know it is morning still for you at 9:30 over there where you're from. Jesus.
Almost afternoon for us.
I know. All right, we are going to slide over for Monday Night Raw. I'm just right off the top, I thought Monday Night Raw was good, but it was compared to the last.
We're definitely agreeing on that.
For the last couple Raws that we've seen, I thought this Raw, I'm not going to say it was like a lull because there were things I liked, but I thought this Raw was a, hey, let's get through, like kind of how we talked about Dynamite last week. I thought it was like a, hey, let's get through this episode and get to the go home show next week. That's what I felt like this Raw was. Not bad by any means, but it was just not. It was, whatever. All right, so this Raw is taking place from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and the show opens with Randy Orton making his way to the ring. He asked the crowd and everybody to bear with him for a moment because it's been a while since he's opened the show. So he does the whole welcome to Monday Night Raw shtick. And then he moves on and he starts talking about hitting Gunther with the RKO last week after he disrespected his father and grandfather. And then we got Gunther coming down to the ring to interrupt. Gunther says the only thing that Randy and everyone here needs to do is shut up. He wants to know what exactly Randy is out here celebrating. Is hitting an RKO on him from behind? Is that something to celebrate? He tells Randy to celebrate now because it's going to be the only thing he's going to celebrate. And it's the only thing that Randy has actually done is made this very, very personal. He also says it's never going to happen again. And he knows how dangerous the RKO is. But he has no option to leave Orton a bloody mess in Berlin. Then Randy basically says, shut up. If you keep running your mouth, you're going to have to take that flight to Berlin with a size 15 boot shoved directly up your ass. And then he goes, oh, and to be honest, it's a 15 extra wide. That's what he says.
I love Randy.
Yeah. And then Gunther kind of does like a waving signal you see him do. And then we see Ludwig Kaiser tries to get in the ring and attack Randy from behind. Ludwig. The W is a V.
Not pronounced as
Ludwig.
Ludwig Kaiser.
Ludwig Kaiser. Yeah. Randy blocks it, fights him off, sends him packing. He trades a few punches with Gunther. Ludwig hits a chop block, and the heels kind of take control of Orton. And that's how the opening segment ends. I thought it was a good opening segment. Continuing along, you can tell now Gunther has said this got personal when you attacked me last week, even though Gunther is the one that made it personal, because when you make fun of a man's family, I mean, what are you doing, buddy? What the fuck you think you're doing? You're talking about guys.
Nothing like a heel being Delulu.
Yeah, just going, oh, you made it personal. You RKO'd me. Bitch, I RKO'd you because you were talking bad about my grandfather and my father. What the hell you think I was going to do? Just sit there? Come on, bro.
Love the segment.
It was a great segment, though. Great segment. I am so ready for this match, Drew. This match is going to rule. The first one ruled. This match is going to rule even more, I think, with Orton and Gunther. It's going to be a good one. We then get a little recap of Pete Dunne beating up Sheamus from last week's Raw. And then we have Sheamus backstage. His hand is heavily bandaged, selling the shillelagh attack by Pete Dunne. He raises his hand and he says, tonight there will be what do you say? Retribution. I can't speak today. And he calls him Sneaky Pete. He goes, Sneaky Pete will surely go after the injured arm. I know that. But this one-armed bandit has a few more tricks in his sleeve. And then Sheamus makes the way. And we have a Pete Dunne versus Sheamus match.
Thumper. This was real good. I enjoyed it.
Real good. Real good, Drew. If you want, I'll let you go. Talk about it a little bit. It was real good.
This was, Sheamus is the perfect type of brawling brute, which aptly named.
Hey, exactly.
Is just so ferocious and so physical and violent, and Pete Dunne same way. Honestly, like this is like a perfect pairing. I could see a bunch of matches with these guys. 100%. Now the music that I was referring to earlier.
Oh, Sheamus is awful.
Sheamus is awful.
So bad. So bad.
They brought written
they made it
in
too,
my face back for 3 weeks.
They made it too hokey Irish for me. It's too hokey of like there's too much Irish stereotypical shit in that song for me.
It's just
I don't like it. I don't like it.
Everyone wanted Lobsterhead back.
Yeah. But
we got Lobsterhead back.
Sheamus had 2 songs. Like Lobsterhead was great, and even the song when he was the bar and that Sheamus, that song was good too.
Oh, that was a banger.
Yeah, he had 2 great songs, and you give him this new one, and it's just fucking hokey Irish sounds in the back. It's just I don't.
Yeah, he might as well be doing the Irish dance down.
That's what I'm saying.
Stage. Like,
God,
what the
we
hell?
know he's Irish. We know he's Irish. The song doesn't have to fucking remind us that he's Irish. Look at him. Bright orange hair and the skin tone of a bed sheet. What are we talking about? Jesus Christ. Anyway.
Yeah, so
anyway.
I don't know what happened there that they just went like, oh yeah, written in my face. Everybody wants that. And then we're taking it away in 3 weeks and we're doing this new crap music. I don't know what happened there. Yeah. So RIP written in my face.
But this match was great, and I loved the finish of this match. Pete Dunne takes the injured hand and sticks it through the turnbuckle, the middle turnbuckle, and he kicks it, and he's doing that, and Sheamus just rips the fucking turnbuckle off and smacks him with the bro kick to end the match. I thought the finish of that match was very cool. With the turnbuckle, and he just is like, I can't get out of it.
That was unique. You don't see that.
Just rips it off and just runs and hits him with the bro kick to end it. Like, I'm done with this.
Yeah.
I loved it. I thought it was great. I thought it was a great entrance. Drew, now's my time to shine. I've been talking on here for 2 weeks about why can't Xavier Woods just have a conversation with Kofi Kingston about why he's feeling the way he is feeling that we've been seeing. Well, after this match, we go to the backstage. We see Odyssey Jones, Kofi, and Xavier Woods. They're still in this wonderful Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles gear. It's just, oh my God. Yeah. They're all pumped up. Odyssey Jones kind of walks off, and Kofi says, hey, X, or hey, Woods, or whatever he calls him. Hey, Woody Woods, can we have a chat? And Xavier leans in and he goes, hey, man, I just want to talk to you because I've noticed over the last couple weeks that you've been kind of, you haven't seemed to be, too into this, too happy. What's going on? And Xavier Woods, these guys have been best friends for a decade. They should be able to have conversations like this. I know it's wrestling, but come on, man. I was so happy. I don't know if you were thinking of me, Drew, when this was happening, but for the last 3 weeks on here, I've been saying, why can't they just have a conversation? They're best friends.
Mm-hmm.
Why can't we see them have just a normal friendship? Why does everything in wrestling have to be so convoluted? It doesn't always have to be. They're friends. Xavier Woods says, hey, man, I just wish you would have come to me first and talked to me about this because it feels like you're trying to replace Big E. And that's how I feel about it, and I'm not in on it. And then Kofi goes, oh, man. And Kofi gives this beautiful, heartfelt, hey, man, we're family. We're brothers. I would never try to replace Big E. Nobody can replace Big E. We've had a hard time. This guy's a good guy, and I felt like he could help us out. And he's a good dude. I'm not trying to replace anybody. And that's how it went. And then guess what happened after that? Odyssey Jones walks back into frame. Xavier Woods has a big smile. He gives him the high five. He gives him the hug. And at this moment, everything seems to be hunky-dory. All right? I was so happy. And I'm still happy about where they're going with it because we're going to talk about the match here in a second. And there was some stuff. I'm so happy they just did this. Because as we've been leading into this and everyone's like, oh my God, what's going on? Are they going to actually break up the New Day? Like, what's happening? Blah, blah, blah. It's like, why is Woods not just pulling Kofi aside and saying, hey, what the hell is going on? This is how I feel. This is what this feels like. Why didn't you talk to me about this? I've been saying it for 2 weeks on here, Drew, and they actually did it last night.
You have? I'm glad.
So I don't know if somebody's watching. I assume they are because we're really good at this. I thank you, because that's all I needed to see from two dudes who have been best friends for a decade on television. And I did like how Kofi also mentioned, like, hey, do you remember when we first started getting the New Day off the ground? Like how tough it was because they were bad guys at first and the crowd wasn't in it. And it was a different type of New Day until it became what it became. I love him mentioning. I loved everything about this backstage segment, Drew. It made so much sense to me. Loved it. Anyway.
So when you get to the end of this, I'm going to wonder if you picked up on an interesting Easter egg in this whole thing.
We'll get there.
We will get noticed.
There. Yeah.
Not that part. Something else.
Yeah. Okay. We then got a Braun Breaker hype reel, which was really good. And then we had a recap of what happened the previous week between Ivy Nile and Maxine Dupree. And then that transition.
Oh, let me tell you, buddy.
Yeah.
I have not cared about Maxine Dupree.
Oh, we're going to talk about it. Oh, I liked it. I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
So that recap kind of goes right into a backstage segment with Ivy Nile getting ready. And we see Chad Gable and the Creeds walk on over to her, American made. And Chad Gable officially welcomes her to the team. He says that Ivy says that she gave Maxine a chance, but she got what was coming to her. If she couldn't realize that those guys were holding her back, that the American Alpha were holding her back, that's on her. And then Gable says, we're going to finish American Alpha Academy tonight, and then we're going to go back to going after the Wyatt Six. That's what Chad Gable says. That's how this segment ends. And then we have this match, Ivy Nile and Maxine Dupree. And it's one of these things where you go into it and you're like, all right, well, Maxine Dupree is basically, we've been watching her learn how to wrestle here for the last month and a half.
I was not going to focus on this.
Yes, like we just, this is just, I was nervous because they both came out and they had their guys flanking them. Like Otis and Tozawa came out with Maxine Dupree, but then they just let her go. Like, because I was afraid, I was like, ooh, is this going to hit with the crowd? Like, are they going to have a legitimate wrestling match here? I thought that Gable and the Creeds would be out there. I thought Otis and Tozawa would be out there. I had a feeling the Wyatts would get involved, not the way that they did, which I loved, which we'll talk about. But I was like, oh, there's going to be a lot of nonsense going along on this match, which is going to, because in my brain, I'm like, oh, you're just going to have Maxine Dupree and Ivy Nile go out there for 7 or 8 minutes just by is that going to work? But the way they did this, they had Maxine Dupree out the gate like a fireball, man. Loved it. Did not see it coming, but I loved it. Hits a running drop kick, throws her on the outside. She's throwing her into the barricades multiple times. She's beating the shit out of Ivy Nile.
The suplex that she did to her on the outside. I was like, oh.
It was a cradle. That was like a release perfect plex. That was incredible. And she's just beating the crap out of Ivy Nile to start this match. And it was like, what is going on here? And the crowd was into it. I was into it. I thought it was real good. Yeah. I thought it was real good. They get back in the ring. And Ivy Nile does a roundhouse kick. She takes Dupree down. She's mounting punches her, throws her in the corner. She's hammering away. So it looks like Ivy Nile is starting to get in control of this match, which is what we all expected would just be a rout to begin with.
The bell never even rang.
It didn't. And right as Ivy Nile is starting to get in control, the lights start going.
I love that they're doing the Fiend lighting style for the. Yeah, I love it.
And when those lights pop, dude, the pop that the crowd got when those lights go down, and man, so the lights go down, And at this point, it's just Ivy Nile in the ring. Maxine Dupree gets out of the ring immediately. She's just like, nope. Immediately gets out of the corner. She's gone. See you later. Nope, not my problem. I'll deal with you later. I'll deal with you later. Then all of a sudden, Ivy Nile's in the ring. We see the rest of American Made get into the ring with Ivy Nile. Well, at first it's just Ivy Nile, and she turns around, and Nikki Cross is standing there with the mask on at this point. We then see Chad Gable and American Made slide into the ring, and right after they do, we see Eric Rowan, Dexter Lumis, and Joe Gacy unmasked. They were unmasked. Nikki Cross was still masked, but they were unmasked. They get up on the apron, and then Nikki Cross dives at Ivy Nile, takes her out. Those three come in the ring. They're brawling with the Creeds and Gable. And then we see at the end, it's Chad Gable there. And Uncle Howdy gets in the ring, gives him another Sister Abigail, and the segment ends with the Wyatts.
Oh, that Sister Abigail.
So my God. Yeah, dude. The segment ends with the Wyatts in the ring. Uncle Howdy sits, and that's how it ends. And then we find out later on in the night, Drew, that next week, Uncle Howdy will be fighting Chad Gable on Raw, one-on-one. That's what we hear. So Uncle Howdy will be making, well, technically not his in-ring debut because he had that blackout match. No, that was Bray. Yeah, so he'll be making his in-ring debut on Raw next week.
Yeah.
One-on-one with Chad Gable. Should be good.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how they do those.
I loved everything about this, Drew. I love the match with Dupree and the way that went down. You know me. I've been going gaga over this Wyatt shit from day one. This was another home run for me. I think they have literally, they're just hitting grand slams with this. Everything they do. I'm
very, very happy about it. Very happy about it. Because this is, I said on our first show that they're doing the memory of Bray Wyatt beautifully. And it's continued. It really has. This is the perfect way to roll out this type of a gimmick. They're doing it beautifully.
Yeah, and we got Spencer behind the glass saying, I didn't get to watch a ton of Raw last night, but he caught this. It ruled. It certainly did. And I'm very much looking forward to see how the Uncle Howdy debut kind of looks, because I thought they knocked it out of the park with the 6-man. So I'm interested to see how the Uncle Howdy thing goes, because it's Uncle Howdy he's fighting. So he's not going to take off the mask and be bowed out. That's my assumption here.
Right, yeah.
Because the 6-man, they all took off the masks and they wrestled as Joe Gacy, Dexter Lumis, and Eric Rowan. I really want to see Nikki Cross fight Ivy Nile now. I need to see Nikki Cross wrestle.
Yeah, that's going to happen. And there could be something horrific under that mask. They might have her.
If they go that route, that's fine. But Nikki Cross is great, and she's a good wrestler, and I want to see her start wrestling.
Yeah.
I want to see her start wrestling. But yeah, so this is going to be Uncle Howdy.
I'm not
so
into horror in like spooky shit usually, but this type of stuff I love.
Oh, it's amazing. So good. We come back from commercial, and we see the Terra Twins are backstage cutting a promo, and they're basically talking about their mixed tag match. That's going to be happening at Bash at Berlin.
Fan of the name Terror Twins?
No, I think that's what they called themselves, like off screen, and they just kind of were like, yeah, we'll bring it on. I like it. I don't mind. I love them two together. Like the fact that they're keeping the buddy friendship and they're just kind of there to ruin the Judgment Day. I love that. I love that a lot. I don't mind the Terror Twins. I think I've just gotten kind of used to it because that's what they call themselves. But yeah, they were basically just hyping up, saying they're going to destroy Liv Morgan and Dom in Berlin. Which that match, right? Honestly, that mixed tag match there, dude, that match is going to be great. Like that match could be like steal the show type match if they let them kind of do what they're doing. But then it was time for one Charles Montgomery Punk. CM Punk comes to the ring. Drew, I'm going to say it right now, out the chute. I love CM Punk.
Thank God. I know where you're going.
I am
so happy.
Sick and tired of CM Punk making out with the crowds every week. Giving them the old tug. I'm done with it. I'm done
I
with
feel
it.
so much better now.
I don't need CM Punk. Look at it. Look at. I'm not going to sit here. All right. The story that he told. All right. I get it. The woman is sick. She flew to see him. I get it, man. All right. That's a good story. That's good. The CM Punk that I knew doesn't tell me stories like that. I don't give a shit about a story like that. It's not because I'm a bad person. Like, I'm glad that woman lived a dream. I'm glad that made CM Punk feel a certain way. I don't give a shit about that. What I care about is CM Punk being a miserable bastard and fighting people. That's how I'll leave it. I was watching this Raw with Josh Robinson. Like I've told you, we've been watching. It was the last one, sadly. He has to go back to work because it's Tuesday for him. So he has to go back to working full time on Tuesdays next week. But we were watching it, and I was saying worse shit off there. I was basically saying, you know what the old CM Punk would have said? That he hoped the woman didn't end well. That's what the old CM Punk would have said. Truly.
I mean, he's a baby face right now.
I hate it. I don't need you to show up at every Raw telling me how great the crowd is and you're where you are because of the people. Shut up.
You have no idea how happy I am right now.
Shut up. I don't want to hear it. Of all people, and I love CM Punk, but of all people, the one guy I don't need fucking talking like that, telling me sob stories about fans and telling every crowd how great they are. And I wouldn't be here if it wasn't. Shut up. You just lost 2 weeks ago at SummerSlam. Why are you not angry? Over a fucking bracelet. You lost.
Oh.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm gonna try to stop swearing. All right. We're fine.
Now that you've let the cat out of the bag, I'm gonna share my real feelings about this. This was fucking trash.
Yeah. It bothered me. It bothered me a lot. I was just like, why is this every week now? I don't care.
I wasn't gonna say that, but now that I was gonna be like, oh, this is how I was coming at this because I thought you were actually gonna enjoy this. So I was sort of like, the bracelet thing. They're going back to the bracelet thing. It seems, and it's really not for me. And I hope now. But now that you've let the cat out of the bag here, I fucking hated this.
So it was unbelievable. And like, look at again. You're talking to I am somebody who both my parents had that disease. All right, my dad succumbed to that. Succumbed to that disease. Like I obviously, I'm a human being. I'm a good human being. Like that's a nice story. I feel happy for that woman. I feel happy for CM Punk that he got to like. That's a big deal. That would change me as a human if I understand. But CM Punk on my wrestling screen as the character CM Punk, no, I don't care. I don't. I know you were. But like, no, man.
So he gets in the ring and he's saying, oh, I haven't been. First of all, he's still taking shots at AEW. He takes shots at AEW practically every time he has a microphone.
Did he take one? I must have. What did he say? I missed it.
It's not. He's not doing it the way that AEW would do it. He's doing it subtle, very subtle. He's talking about how the building is sold out, and then he's pointing to the hard camera side and saying, even those people, we know what that means because AEW hasn't had the hard camera side full for a long time. But he said something else too that was like kind of a subtle shot at AEW. I don't remember now. But he starts talking about he hasn't been here for 10 years. Like a couple years ago you were in another company. They did some shows in Florida. You definitely have been there. But okay, fine. He starts going on. He mentions the story about the cancer Survivor, and the other guy that flew from like Jordan to come and see him, and talking about the town. And then the first thing that pops into my head while I'm listening to this, great to be here in insert name of town.
Yeah, literally, that's what it is every week now with this guy. Every week.
Yeah. Sounding like a promo that somebody cut on him a few years ago. You know, a little bit like, PG Punk. Remember PG Punk?
Yeah. Like, what are we doing, man? And I get it. Like, you're going to get a big reaction. No. That's not who you are. We all know that's not who you are. And I get it. You might be as happy. He seems to be happier than he's ever been. And he seems to be really enjoying his time. And I'm happy. He's talking about wanting to go work with Shawn Michaels when his in-ring career is over in NXT and maybe take over NXT afterwards. And I'm all for that, man. I'm happy CM Punk is back in WWE. I'm happy CM Punk's back in wrestling, period. Fine. You are not the guy that goes out there and tells the crowd how great that is not you. You don't tell us the sob stories. No. Leave that for Cody.
He's turned into, as MJF once said in that same promo, he turned into the "you can't see me" man. It's like full-fledged.
That needs to stop soon.
So, but then it's not over yet.
Oh no, no. I haven't even gone into what he. I'm not. Yeah.
So then Drew McIntyre comes out, and they start having a back and forth.
Yeah,
and you could hear a fucking pin drop in the arena.
Yeah, nobody gives.
And why is that? Because right before Drew McIntyre comes out, Punk goes into his pocket, pulls out a bunch of bracelets that people made for him.
They made for all the wrestlers at FanFest. Yeah.
And then calls himself the Taylor Swift.
Oh, yes. Sure did.
Taylor Swift for men. What the fuck?
Is it true, though? Is he? I don't even know what that means.
Not my Taylor Swift, that's for sure.
I know who Taylor Swift is. Duh, who doesn't? I understand. I would love that, Ophelia. I would wear it. I would wear it. The Swifties will hate that. The Swifties will hate that he referred to himself as the male version of Taylor Swift, or Taylor Swift for men, you should say. I really don't know what he meant now, because I know Swifties. I know they do bracelets. That's their thing, right? They do that. That's a Taylor Swift thing. Fine, cool. So was he just calling himself that because of just the bracelets? Like, was it just that? This whole thing was fucking stupid, is what it was. Anyway, I'm swearing too much. I'm trying to get better about that. But this whole thing was dumb.
This promo got me to swear too much. And I don't swear too much on the show, but this was just awful. It was awful.
Like,
it was so bad.
Yeah, so Punk is out there. Drew comes out. This whole time, Punk has a strap. Just so we know, he has a strap.
Yeah, right.
Okay? Because we teased on last week's Raw that he had an idea of how to finally end this Drew McIntyre thing. And at one point, Drew goes, I'm not even trying to be funny here. I mean this honestly. Like, have you started drinking? Have you started drinking? And he goes, lose the strap and I'll come in there and I'll give him a show. And then Punk goes, all right, how about a trade? I will lose the strap if you give me the bracelet. And then Drew thinks it over and he goes, no. And he mentions AJ. He mentions AJ by name. He said April. He called her by her shoot name. Yeah. He goes, April and Larry are in better hands with me. And I was like, what the hell is going on around? I'm sitting here going, what? This was the hottest angle in the company 3 weeks ago. And I'm sitting here going, nobody gives a shit about this right now. This match before SummerSlam, this was in my opinion, this was the most anticipated match and the best storyline in the company. And I felt like nobody cared at all last night about this. And I don't know if it was because all of the stuff that Punk said before Drew, and it was just kind of not hitting with audiences because everyone, I know I'm not alone. I know I took it to level 11 with some of the things I'm saying, but that's part of the shtick. But like, I cannot be, and I know I'm not, you are in the chat. We don't care. Like, I don't care about how it's just, I want to see CM Punk talking shit and beating people up. That's the CM Punk I like. Talk your shit, say the things that make people go, oh, was he supposed to say that? And beat people up and have good matches. That's the CM Punk I want. I'm not here for Make-A-Wish CM Punk, bro. I'm just not here for that. I'm not here for that. That's just not me, dude. There's plenty of people on the roster who can fill that void. Cody can do that. Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, yep, they can do that. CM Punk, if he's a babyface or not, Drew, that's not the type of babyface CM Punk should be. Period. End of story. This whole promo felt off because I feel like even though he was saying some good, family, home, heartwarming fucking shit, nobody cared. Nobody cared because everyone was like, what the hell are you talking? Like, nobody gives. You have a strap around your neck, bro. I don't care about the people that came to see you at a Fanatics Fest. I care about why the fuck the strap's around your neck. Why do I got to wait 10 minutes?
And not even 10 minutes for a good promo.
Man. And I'm pro CM Punk. I love CM Punk. Brutal. But anyway, we find out that at Bash at Berlin, we're going to have a strap match, which that match is going to rule. That match is going to rule. A strap match, it's going to be great. This was a whole lot of nonsense.
The setup for it was just dog shit. Man. It was awful. Man. The ending of this promo, and I had to go back. So I've not mentioned it on Firmly WWE. I've mentioned it on Firmly AEW in the past. But I used to work for Cage Side Seats and covering WWE, and there's a lovely person who works does excellent work at Cage Side Seats. Her name is Claire Elizabeth, and she does the live blogs over there for each show, for pretty much every single show through the week. And she is amazing at it. Absolutely amazing. And when there's particular moments like this, I love to go back and see, because not only does she write what exactly is happening, but she writes what's on her mind. It bleeds in sometimes. And I went to the live blog for Raw last night on Cage Side, and I just have to read this verbatim because this is how
I have it. That's what I got. That's what I have my notes, and I have there, like, it's already up on my screen.
So you have Cage Side up too?
I'm looking at it right now. Yeah.
So Drew McIntyre enters. He says Punk embarrassed him last week, whipping him like a petulant child, and now he challenges him to a strap match. He asks CM if he starts drinking and accepts the match. Drew tells him to lose the strap, and then they'll give him a show. Punk goes so far as to offer a trade, as you mentioned, the strap for the bracelet. Drew wisely then says no, and Punk is a liar and a hypocrite and will whip him like a dog if he goes for it. Larry and AJ are much safer, or April are much safer at home with Drew McIntyre. And then CM Punk says that Drew won't be safe in Berlin because it's not Punk that's attached to Drew.
Yeah, this line didn't hit.
It's Drew that's attached to Punk.
Yeah.
And it's almost like the back already knew that was going to be awful, and the music already was starting to play as he finished that sentence.
Yeah, it was a bad line. I understand. I understand what he was trying to say.
It is music.
I understand that what he was trying to say. Like, he was trying to say, like, hey, you should be worried because it's not me attached to you. Like, you should be worried because you're attached to me. Like, I get what he was going for. It just, the whole thing it just didn't hit. And I think her one line she even says it. She goes, CM Punk says he won't be safe in Berlin because it's not Punk that's attached to Drew. It's Drew that's attached to Punk. And wow, that line didn't land like you wanted it to, CMO, pal. That's what she said. That's what she said.
It
was flat as hell.
Awful.
That whole segment was flat as hell.
That didn't even get a reaction from the crowd.
No. Very bizarre.
Why can't these two just have a straight up fucking wrestling match?
They did 2 weeks ago, and Punk lost.
No, but I mean just an uninterrupted, about them wrestling match.
I don't get it, man. I don't get it. And it's like, it's one of these things to me where it's like, this isn't the end. Because the rumor is in October at Bad Blood, they're going to have a Hell in a Cell match, and that's going to be the end. Now, again,
the build to it is garbage.
These two guys, yeah, because the build to it was for just that match at SummerSlam. But they obviously did that in a way that this would continue, which is fine. But like, you need to, I think the strap match is going to be good. And I saw this too, Ophelia. This is gonna be so. Again, this is just all right. I'm gonna sound like an old man here. Back in the day, strap matches were always this way. This was how a strap match worked. You had a strap, you were connected to your opponent, and it was the person who hit the four corners, the turnbuckle with their hand first in one succession order, no breaks, no stops. You won the match. That is always how a strap match was. And then in the middle 2000s, Vince McMahon and the booking team got lazy. One thing also, do you know how you used to only be able to win steel cage matches? By leaving the cage, climbing over or going through the door. But then in the middle 2000s, Vince and the creative team got lazy, or what probably happened is he just thought, oh, our fans are idiots. Let's just make it easier for them. So now you can win all these matches with pinfalls. You can have a steel cage match and win via pinfall. You can have, and then the strap match turned into, oh, it's just a no holds barred match, but with the strap, and they win by pinfall. So now when they revert back to classic ways of matches, like having a strap match where they have to touch all four corners, which is how a strap match was originally started, you have idiots on the internet. They're like, what the fuck you got to do this? Like, shut up. Do some research. Go on YouTube. It's how things used to be. Not everything is simple for you simple people. God bless. Anyway, we're going to continue on. So, New Day. I'm angry today. I don't know what's going on.
This is just feeding me beautifully.
I'm getting pissed. I'm getting pissed.
I love it so much.
Yeah, unbelievable. All right. So then you got New Day and Odyssey Jones going against the Final Testament, which was Karrion Kross. And do they still call them the Things of Power, whatever the fuck their name used to be? Or do they just call them Akam and Reza now? Do they still call them by the
I think they still say Authors of Pain.
Okay, Authors of Pain, that's what it was.
I'm pretty sure. So
we have this match. Couple things that happened during this match. So we saw the segment where it looked like Kofi and Woods were we had the conversation. We're on the same page. We're feeling good about this. But during this match, in the camera view, they did the corner camera view, just legends. We have the camera view where we're in the corner and we see Odyssey Jones on one side and Xavier Woods on the other, and Kofi is reaching out.
No. It's the context here is very key. The only person that's in that turnbuckle at that particular moment is Xavier Woods.
Yes.
He's got his hand out, and Kofi is crawling over. All of a sudden, here comes Odyssey Jones, and he is stretching over Xavier's hand, and he's like, tag me in. And Xavier tags Odyssey instead.
Yeah. And so
very pivotal. You got to mention.
So Odyssey gets in the ring, and then you have the camera angle where you see Xavier Woods make a face like, what the hell? Like, what the hell was that about? Like, did he just, So they
for a second.
And it looked like he jumped. He jumped off because Kofi was hurt. Mm-hmm. And I saw him jump off, and I was like, oh, he's leaving.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, he's leaving. But then he
I was
just
like,
walked
oh
over to
shit.
Kofi to make sure Kofi was all right. But I did, yes, I noticed that too. As I saw him jump down, I was like, oh shit, he's leaving.
I was like, oh my God.
I'm like, they're doing it. They're doing it. Because my thing is, I put on Twitter earlier before the match, I was like, this feels like we might actually be seeing the end of the New Day, and it makes me feel dirty.
Oh, it's happening.
I know, but it makes me feel dirty.
And
I feel dirty about it.
That promo sealed it for me. Like, oh, it's happening. 100%.
Man, it makes me. I don't know why, but a part of me is like, ooh, that makes me feel.
And I'm gonna tell it. So now we got to the end of this match. They win. Odyssey gets the victory.
Yes.
And then they all do the celebrating, and Xavier's still a little like about it, but he's
more into
last
it.
week.
He's more into it. He's more
into it this week.
Yes.
This shit is ending. It's over. I'm telling you that right now. Right, here's the other Easter egg that I was like, oh, I wonder if he noticed the other Easter egg. In that promo, they're mentioning
when they were backstage.
Well, it wasn't just there. It was just in general, the little Easter egg. But in the promo, in the back, they're talking about, OG New Day and New Day coming up, how they were, how long they've been together.
Yep.
That whole stretch of the 10-year period between the two of them. Did you notice first time Odyssey Jones had a match? What was he wearing?
A New Day shirt. No, wait, you mean last night?
No, not last night. The first week.
Oh, I don't remember. I wasn't paying attention. Last night he was wearing some big baby.
He was wearing a New Day shirt under black gear.
Yes.
This week,
bright blue, baby blue.
Bright blue.
Yeah.
Reminiscent
Biggie.
Of OG New Day.
Yeah.
When they were heels.
Yeah. Yep. Now, do you think that this could lead to potentially Odyssey Jones turning heel and leaving Kofi and Xavier? Yeah, you got blurry. Oh, you still blurry, bro. There we go. Do you think it could be something like that, where it's like maybe they don't break up the New Day, but this is like a spot for Odyssey Jones to kind of
maybe?
Or do you think it should be Kofi turning on Woods?
I 100% think that that's what it is.
Then it's going to be Kofi turning on Woods, and it'll be Kofi and Jones as the bad guys, and Woods is the.
I was on Roundtable last night, and I said this that I think is. I want to get your opinion on this.
Yeah.
Between Xavier and Kofi, I personally feel like Xavier is the more natural babyface.
Yeah,
I kind of feel like
I would agree.
Kofi. While he's a great baby,
he's been a babyface for so long that it's just like second nature,
While Kofi is a great babyface, not taking that away from him, I feel like his personality is a little obnoxious. He's always the one that's like over the top, And do you know why? Like he does all that stretching out the words. Because like he's always, and that's like heelish in a sense, like in a very like condescending, obnoxious type of thing. Xavier is always the straight man. He is always very like like he has this like I don't mean this in like a weird way, but he has this like very educated like
he has a PhD.
I mean, he has a PhD, right? But like he's more like college professor.
That's what they were trying to do when they did the New Day originally. Is he was like this evangelical, smart type of, like he had the glasses and he would come out with the book or the clipboard, and he was the one that was like,
right.
Woods was that guy before they became what they became. Like he was the smart talker. Like he was the guy that rounded them together. It was very much a Woods driven thing.
I wanna just say now that I did not mean that I thought that Kofi wasn't educated. That wasn't what I meant by that, which is why
no,
this
I know
probably sounds a little weird.
I know what you were trying to get at.
But it's just like I think, in his plight to get the King of the Ring and like all of that was just like really like super uber babyface of him. And I think that what I was saying in our first show and last week also, they're making it look like Xavier's the one that's going to turn.
Mm.
But last night's promo sealed the deal for me. It's like, oh, Kofi, the way that Kofi was said, you have the word? Can you read the promo again? What he said? Do you have that?
I don't have a word for word, but I
can. Let me go up in the in cage side and
So Kofi checks in with Xavier Woods, asking if everything's okay. Woods says that he wishes Kofi had asked him before bringing Odyssey Jones in because it feels like they're replacing Big E. But Kingston says he's not replacing E. They're not bringing him into New Day, and that they're a family. But Odyssey is in the same boat they were when they were first starting, and he just wants to do for him what he wishes someone would have done for them all those years ago.
When he was saying, like, oh no, I'm not replacing Big E. I'm not bringing him into New Day to replace Big E. We're family. And I was like, oh boy, that's like in my head, I said, oh no, it's not because Odyssey is here to replace Big E. Because Odyssey is here to replace Xavier.
Maybe.
Who can be seen, I mean, because what the whole thing, like Scott said earlier in the chat, where I'm looking up, he said something about, that it's gonna, maybe it wasn't Scott. Somebody said that, it's like they're gonna make the, he's gonna be turning just because of Karrion Kross. I don't think
that was Scott. He said they better not be breaking these guys up because of Karrion Kross. That's what Scott said.
Okay, yeah. It's not that they're breaking him up for him to align with Karrion Kross, or for either of them to align with Karrion Kross.
No, I think Karrion Kross just made him see the way.
Yeah, that's the thing. And it's what I really, so they're on TV now because they haven't done any Kross and Woods type of promos for the past couple of weeks now.
Mm-hmm.
On TV, they're not presenting it that way. They're doing these moments where it's like, oh, Xavier didn't get the tag, and then he's the one looking frustrated, and he's the one that's in the back, like shaking his head and like looking like, I'm not really into this. Because, obviously Xavier Woods is going to turn on the New Day. Because he's going to say, enough is enough. But they're utilizing the Karrion Kross aspect in this to lead you to believe that Woods is going to turn, but it's not Woods that's going to turn, because it's going to be the best friend, Kofi Kingston, the one that just said, we're family. That whole promo was like, that just sealed the deal for me. The way that he said that, and then maybe it could not happen, but in my head, I'm looking at him saying that promo almost like a parent to a child. The way that he was saying it was a little condescending, a little bit. The way, we're family. The way like a cult leader would try and get the followers to believe him, in that type of a way. I'm like, this is happening 100%. It's got to be. I mean,
I don't know. This is one of the few occasions where I'm like, I hope it doesn't, because it just doesn't make me feel good.
Listen, it could be what you said. It could be maybe
they can't be the New Day forever. And if they do have an inkling that maybe Big E is coming back or Big E is never coming back, I understand. if you don't want these guys to just be pigeonholed in the New Day as a tag team for the rest of their careers, where they clearly probably still have a good amount of time to be doing this, both of them. So I get it. Just to me, I'm kind of just like,
This
I
is
don't know.
something, so I
I
haven't
don't know.
mentioned this before, but there's something that, like, I've had in the back of my mind that I've never vocalized when it comes to Big E. Big E can travel. He's been traveling.
Oh yeah, he goes to
He's
all like
been
he does all the
he
pre-shows.
he does all the pre-show stuff.
Yeah.
Why is he not with Xavier and Kofi?
I mean, that could be again, we don't know. That could be a personal choice on his behalf. I'm not sure.
That could be.
I
It
would
could be,
assume
yeah.
I mean, again, I don't even want to assume because I don't know what people think, but I would assume either WWE doesn't feel like they want him out there, or maybe he himself personally doesn't want to be out there if he knows he can't.
That could be. I didn't
I
think about
honestly
that.
don't know. I mean, none of us are going to really know unless he addresses it, but that does make sense because he is around. I don't think he's at Raw every week. I don't think he's doing that, but he does travel to the pay-per-views. So, like, there are plenty of times you could cut a backstage segment with Big E around with New Day. He's there at every, like, he's going to
Right.
be at Bash of
Like,
Berlin on the
he's
pre-show next week. Like,
he's
that's what he
been
does now.
at he's
He was
been
at SummerSlam.
yeah, where New Day had a match,
Yeah.
right?
No, maybe on the SmackDown. Did they? I don't know. They didn't. But
Oh,
I'm
no, they
saying, like,
didn't.
they might be there. Like, again, you can film shit with him if you wanted to, but I don't know. I don't know that exact
There are no
answer.
my point is there are no travel restrictions.
It
He's
seems.
been all over the world doing these pre-shows, and not one time is he ever rolling up to New Day's locker room, be like, "Hey, guys," and I didn't think it could be, you're right, I didn't think about that. Maybe it is a personal decision on his behalf.
Yeah.
Um, but I just found it strange. That's like, well, okay, so he can't wrestle.
Mm.
It's not cleared to wrestle.
Mm.
But why can't he still come out with them? Why can't he be involved in the storyline?
Yeah.
Like, what?
I mean, again, this is where, when I say like personally, it could be a lot of things personally. Like I only can know by like how I would view it. And a part of me would be like, well, if I can't wrestle or like do some of the stuff, like I don't want to be out there as a distraction to you two. I don't want to be out there and everybody's just like, oh, and like certain things happen in a match and everyone's expecting me to go in there and get physical and help you guys. And I don't, or I can't,
Well, he didn't
or,
even have to go to the ring with them, but he
yeah,
can be in the backstage at least.
I don't know. We'll have
But
to
he's
see, though.
never around.
No, I don't know. We'll have to see. I'm very intrigued. I'm still feeling a certain way about it, but I'm very intrigued by this story. Just because the New Day has been such a, I mean,
Well, right, Scott. He could have a no contact thing like Corey Graves, but Corey Graves is on the show every week, even with a no contact thing.
yeah,
He's
Sure.
on. He does commentary but he's been doing commentary for years now, going to every show, every stadium that they go to, every
Yeah.
arena, every country. So why can't Big E do the same?
yeah. And Scott might be right. Scott might be right here too. He maybe he's just content with where he is, and he's like, you know what,
Yeah,
this is for
it's
me.
possible.
So I think yeah. I don't know. We'll have to see what goes on with the Big E side of things, because I feel like, I don't think it's gonna, but I feel like this is a really good storyline to eventually lead to a Big E comeback. But again,
Right. Yeah.
we literally have no idea. And it would,
That-
if I had to
that would
bet
be
on it, I would
beautiful.
say no, probably not. That's how it feels to me. But this could be a story that could lead to that if, first and foremost, he's healthy and cleared and can wrestle, and B, which is kind of 1A, like he wants to do it. Because
Right.
I could easily see myself, if I went through a traumatic injury like that, saying, you know what? I had a good run here. I like doing what I'm doing, but that literally almost ended up like I'm in a chair the rest of my life. I'm cool. Because that's a decision that he could easily make too. Like, because he was a football player. He was a football player. He was one of the first, like, obviously there were no NILs back then. But like, he's one of those guys that was a football player that turned into a wrestler. It's not like he was You know, he was a Division I linebacker for the University of Iowa. You know what I mean? So like he was a football player who then turned into a pro wrestler. So maybe like something like this happens and he's just like, I think I've done enough and we're good, you know, but I don't know. All right, let's continue along. We then have a backstage sequence in Gorilla with we see Miz and Adam Pearce are in Gorilla. Bronson Reed is in the ring. We already saw his entrance. And Adam Pearce goes over to Miz. He goes, hey, he goes, I am literally screaming in my own brain that I should go out there and suspend Bronson Reed and call off this match because I don't know what Bronson's going to do to you.
I was going to, as this was happening, I was ready to shit all over it.
Yeah.
But then Miz said one thing and I was like, oh, you know what? That explained it all. Okay.
Yep. So then Miz says, I don't want the match. He goes, I don't even know if I want the match, but I don't think I do.
In that moment, I'm shouting at my screen, so fucking suspend the guy, Adam Pearce. Yeah. What are we doing here? But then he continued.
Yeah, so Miz says, I don't know. I don't think I want this match. He goes, maybe you should suspend Bronson. He goes, but Bronson took out R-Truth, one of his only friends. I don't have many friends in this business. And when somebody takes out with a friend, or when somebody does that to a friend, you need to fight for that friend. So that's what I'm going to do. And then Miz goes out there. Miz had a pretty good match with Bronson, too. He got a lot of offense. I was expecting this to be more of a squash, to be honest with you, the way they've been presenting Bronson. But this was a decent back and forth match with these two. Bronson ends up winning with the tsunami. And then some stuff happened afterwards where he goes up for a second tsunami, and it looked like, oh, shit, here we go again. Bronson's going to kill the Miz. But before he can even, this was a name we mentioned last week. I mentioned this name last week, Drew.
You did.
And before he can even hit the second tsunami, we hear the roar, and Braun Strowman comes out, comes to the ring, and then we get the face-off in the ring with Braun Strowman and Bronson Reed. And we find out that we are going to have that match next week on Raw. Speaking of Big E, two big meaty men slapping meat next week on Monday Night Raw. I think Braun Strowman is a perfect opponent for Bronson Reed. With that being said, here's the caveat. Bronson Reed needs to beat his ass next week.
Agreed.
Beat his ass. And I assume 100%. He will.
100%.
I think Triple H is smart enough to know that he's gonna. But Bronson Reed needs to beat Braun Strowman's ass next week. But I liked all this, Drew.
So you just said, like, oh, you thought this was going to be like more of a squash match, and I had expected it to. I did as well. However, that promo before the match and the match itself revitalized the Miz for me.
It was a good match. It's a good match.
I tweeted this out last night too. That was one of my favorite Miz matches in quite some time.
Yeah. I thought it was very well. I thought they made the Miz look like the crowd was getting behind. They did a very good job.
This was what Miz needed, 100%. Because I didn't give a crap about him. I haven't given a crap about him for it. There's a pattern here.
Yeah,
I don't know if you've noticed. There's a pattern here.
They're still turning. So.
Didn't give a crap about Maxine. All of a sudden, Maxine shows this ferocious side. Now, and I'm like, oh, I'm liking this. I'm liking where we're going here.
Yep.
They did the same thing with Bronson Reed in the beginning. I didn't give a crap about Bronson Reed. And then 7 tsunamis to Seth Rollins later, I give a crap about Bronson Reed.
Yep.
Last night was a really great revitalization of the Miz character for me because he did that promo. He was very, very... it was a very human side of just like, oh yeah, I'm scared shitless right now. I don't want to do this match, but I have to do this match. That's why I said, like, he's like, oh, you're probably, when he's saying like, oh yeah, I really don't want to do this match, you probably should suspend him. Yeah. I started like getting mad because I was like, well, yeah, duh. He should be fucking suspended, Adam Pearce. What are we doing here?
Correct.
But then he's like, no, I have to do this match. And I was like, oh, you know what? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And he gets out. He his music hits and he goes through the curtain and he just makes a beeline for the ring.
Yeah.
And something that is so cyclical and friggin' repetitive over and over and over and over with The Miz is that he makes that entrance and he does the twirl and he does the point and he's the glasses and the whole fucking get up and all the hoopla. When you and I've said this on our Firmly AEW show 100 times, but I'm going to say it now on Firmly WWE for the first time for people who maybe don't watch Firmly AEW. When wrestlers are in a real heated feud, the entrance, the pandering to the crowd, the spots that you do as a babyface wrestler don't fucking matter. When you need to get in the ring and you need to fight someone, you make your entrance, you walk down the ramp, you get in the ring, and you start wailing. And this is what The Miz did, and that type of stuff is refreshing to me.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, he's a babyface. He's got his posers. He's got his hand slapping with the crowd. He's got his whole shtick. But when there's a guy that has wronged him or someone that he deeply cares about in that ring, none of that matters. It's like the music isn't even playing.
Yeah.
You just get right out there. You get to the ring and you get on that guy and you start fighting. And he did that. It was beautiful. He got a lot of offense in this match. He did spots with the chairs. He did this. He went to the table. He said he was doing everything really, really great. And I'm so happy that they booked the segment before and the match the way that they did, because now I care about The Miz.
Yeah. We see Sheamus being interviewed backstage, and he admits that he's banged up and he needs a pint. But he and Pete Dunne put on a banger, and then we see Ludwig Kaiser roll up again. He asks why they're wasting time talking to the opening act when the main event is standing right here. Sheamus challenges him to another match, and then he says, "But I know you got the main event tonight against Randy, so for now, I'll just enjoy watching you take an RKO." And that's how that ends. We get back from commercial. And we have Braun Breaker being interviewed backstage. He says that Adam Pearce, starting next week, has created a tournament, which I love tournaments, has created a tournament to determine who the number one contender is for the Intercontinental Championship. And he goes on and he says that Adam Pearce is doing that to slow him down. And he goes, "It's not my fault that I'm a badass and I'm a genetic freak and that the dogs are barking in every city we go to. That's not my fault." And he goes, and it's not his fault. And he goes, and it's not my fault also that I earned the IC belt. He goes, but I will tell you this, the poor soul that wins that tournament, I am going to spear them and they are going to get the beating of a lifetime. And he goes, and that will be my fault. And that's how he ends. Dude, Braun Breaker rules. Braun Breaker really just rules. All right. He just rules.
He's getting better and better every week. Honestly.
He's unbelievable. Me and Josh were talking about it off camera. Obviously watching Raw last night. And I was like, look, he doesn't need to be right now. I go, but that dude is he's the next guy. He's the next, I don't say this as in he's going to be at this level, but he's the next John Cena of the company. He's the next face of the company. When he's a good guy and before every entrance, they show him in Gorilla and he's going, I'm just going to use Boston because that's my closest city. And he goes, we got it, Pat McAfee. There any dogs barking tonight in Boston, Massachusetts? And then the crowd's just going to go nuts. And then the next week is the same shit in Providence, Rhode Island, and New York, and everywhere. They can sell shirts. He's got the colorful outfits. He does the spear. How fast that guy is money. And like you said, Drew, he's getting better every single week. He's getting better at promos, and he's just getting better in general. That dude is unbelievable. Then we are getting ready for Dominic Mysterio versus Damian Priest. There was a little thing with Rhea and Priest before where she goes, I have a feeling this is why? It's an intercontinental championship. Doesn't that mean it should be no?
No. He said he's irked that it isn't being defended.
Oh, it isn't. I'm sorry. I thought he said is. I can agree with that. I was going to be like, wait a minute. Isn't that the whole purpose of the belt? Kind of. That makes sense. I thought he said is. I was like, what? Well, MJF is bringing an American-only championship over to defend in Europe. So, I mean, I don't know why Braun Breaker can't do the same thing. I mean, come on. What are we doing? But anyway. So Rhea tells Priest, she goes, I don't feel good about this. I feel like this is a trap. And Priest says, it might be. He goes, but we'll be ready for it. So then we have Dominic Mysterio in the ring. Damian Priest is coming down the entrance, and Carlito, and JD McDonough, and later Finn Balor, they try to attack Priest, but he's ready for it. He fights them off. And then he gets in the ring. He's trying to go after Finn Balor, but Carlito takes him, and they start getting the numbers game. And then we see Rhea Ripley. She comes out. She attacks Dominic Mysterio from behind. She hits him with a headbutt. She's clearing the announce desk, but Liv Morgan shows up with the chair and hits Rhea from behind. At this point, Dom, Finn, Carlito, and JD have all taken control and are beating down Priest inside the ring. And they hold Priest down to make him watch as Liv is beating Rhea down at the announce table. She throws her into the steps. She throws her shoulder first twice into the corner post. And then Finn Balor takes out Priest with the coup de grace. They give Rhea, and Liv Morgan gives the oblivion to Rhea. Dom then hits a frog splash on Damian Priest. I think he should have hit it on Rhea, but he hit it on Damian Priest. And then we see as Damian Priest is calling him, what do they call him? What's Damian Priest calling him? The new fake ass Judgment? Is he calling him fake ass Judgment Day or wannabe? He's calling him something. I think, are you muted?
Sorry.
No.
I remember fake ass Judgment.
Yeah. So, but this segment ends with the fake ass new Judgment Day standing tall over a laid out Rhea Ripley and Damian Priest. We then shortly after this saw a promo in the back. They had a camera with a dirty lens on purpose, Drew. It was like a dirty lens when they were going to the Judgment Day. And we saw a promo of all of them basically celebrating with each other of what they just did to Rhea and Damian Priest. So, good little segment, good little beatdown to make Priest and Rhea make them look like they might be in trouble with this new Judgment Day. I thought this was good. We talked about the mixed tag that we're going to be getting at Berlin next week. This Judgment Day is still the story on Raw that I care about the most, Drew. It's the story I care about the most. I thought this was a good piece of business.
Punk and Drew thing isn't doing it, really.
No. I mean, they could fire that back up, but I'm digging this. I thought this was really good to get the bad guys have to look strong sometimes, So, but I thought this was good stuff.
I loved that. The end of that promo that they did for the match. It wasn't a match. It was just, similar to the Maxine Ivy Nile thing.
Yeah.
But it was fine. I didn't hate it.
Yeah.
Dominic, the last thing is like Dominic says, "Oh, I love when you talk dirty," and then he's just like looks and he's like, "Oh, sorry."
Yeah. Unbelievable. But
I can't wait for them to start being called street trash. I'm really excited for
I don't think that's gonna happen.
I hope it does. Or at least
that's gonna happen.
Like somebody should be like on commentary. Oh, so you mentioned Pat McAfee before. There's actually something that's happening. Turns out Pat McAfee is not going to be back for a while.
Yeah.
Because College Game Day.
Yeah, he's going away. They said he's going to be gone until he's going to come back in January. So he's going to be gone the rest of the year because of college football, which makes sense. One thing I forgot to mention, I want to give Michael Cole some flowers. During the Wyatt segment from earlier in the night, the crowd started chanting, "You fucked up." And Michael Cole had a response where he just said, "Indeed, they did." And I just thought that was wonderful. That he referenced it. Like the crowd was literally chanting "You effed up," and he goes, "Indeed, they did. Indeed, they did."
So I'm gonna name
wonderful.
drop right now.
Yeah.
Somebody who isn't like, okay, so Matt Camp. I don't know if you remember Matt Camp.
Yeah, I know Matt Camp.
He was he was on the bump. He got released last year, or I think it was like mid last year or something like that. He has a really, really good podcast right now. And he talked about, I just watched it yesterday, the whole backstage stuff of what was going on when Vince retired in 2022.
Yep.
And something that he mentioned and specifically wanted to mention in that podcast, is about 33 minutes long, was how incredible Michael Cole is now.
Yeah.
With Vince McMahon not in his ear.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Legitimately hated him for a long time, not realizing that it was really Vince McMahon that we were all hating, and I was hating specifically. He is an absolute joy. He is my favorite commentator.
Yeah, he's amazing.
And I never thought that I would ever say that about Michael Cole.
Yeah, he's truly incredible at it, like incredible. And you can see now that he doesn't have anybody telling him what to say or pulling the reins back on him. They're just letting him be good at the job that he is good at. It's unbelievable what he's doing. All right, we had a triple threat match for the women's tag team champions. It was the Unholy Union defending against Damage Control, which was Io Sky and Kairi Sane, and also against just a terrible name, the Pure Fusion Collective, which was Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark. This was a good match here.
Yeah.
Although they did the thing that I hate. I hate a triple threat tag match when only 2 people are in the ring. That's not a triple threat match. There should be 3 people in the ring at all times. You want to tag the people in? Fine. That is a regular tag match with 3 teams. I don't like that version of a triple threat tag match. I don't like it. There should be a triple threat going on at all times in the match. But anyway, this match was really good. This was a double segment match. A lot of back and forth. I actually thought that Baszler and Stark, I thought the Pure Fusion Collection could have got a victory here, to be honest with you. But with everything that's going on with Jade, Bianca, and Naomi over on SmackDown with the Unholy Union, it obviously made sense for them to retain. And it was one of those finishes where it was really between the 2 other teams, and Isla Dawn snuck in a tag. They hit their finishing move there, and they retained and kept their titles. They've had a couple. Here's the thing. They kind of won these belts out of nowhere to kind of pop the home crowd of Scotland. And then they didn't do anything for a while, but since they've kind of been used here on TV the last month, they're getting some big victories.
Yeah.
They beat, I know Brie, I always call her B Priestley. I know Davenport got involved, but they do have a victory over Bianca and Jade. And then now they got another big victory here. Like they're starting to look like a real force in the tag team division here, which I like to see because they are both good. That is a good team if they use them correctly. I thought this match was pretty good, Drew. It was a good triple threat match. But the champions retain, and now we're going to have to see what happens on SmackDown when they have the 6-woman match against Jade, Bianca, and Naomi. But I thought this match was pretty good, Drew.
Yeah, I did so too. Not digging the Pure Fusion Collective name.
Terrible name. They got to do something about that.
And like the way that Pat and Michael were
they even made fun of it. Michael Cole made fun of it.
Yeah, Pat was like, "Oh, not to be confused with KFC." I was like,
but even Michael Cole, I forget the one-liner, but even Michael Cole had like a one-liner subtle dig about the name.
I don't remember.
And I'm just like, if they're making fun of it on TV, like, what are we doing?
They kept repeating it over and over and over, and then all of a sudden, Pat goes, "Oh, not to be confused with KFC." I was like, "Is Vince McMahon in your ear right now?" Because that sounded like
honestly, very
like
weird.
Let's not be doing that.
Very weird. We have an interview backstage with Jey Uso. He's asked about Sami Zayn and him reuniting and all that stuff. He says that Sami's taken some time to get his head together, and that Sami encouraged him, Jey, to try for singles gold while Sami's taking some time off. So he put his name into the Intercontinental Tournament. So next week, the tournament starts. So we at least know that Jey Uso is, I think he's the only name we know right now. He is in the tournament, Jey Uso. So that's what that was. We then had a little
I have a question.
Yeah.
So weren't Jey and Sami supposed to go for the tag titles?
They are. I don't know if Sami's, I mean, maybe Sami just had a vacation, or I don't know if maybe he's a little banged up, so he's taking some time off. I don't know. But it seems, I think that's what they're, because obviously they have to get back together for the Bloodline stuff within the next couple months. So right. I thought them forming to go for the tag titles was like a way for them to already be teaming for when they eventually do what they're going to do.
Right.
I haven't heard anything about Sami. I don't think there's been any reports. So I don't know if he's just maybe had a couple weeks off vacation, or maybe, you know, he is banged up.
Some are speculating that he got injured in the Braun Breaker match.
Possible. It's possible.
You know, that lawn dart thing that.
Yeah, like that was.
And he had tweeted yesterday.
He tweeted about it, about like how he almost got like, how he loves wrestling.
Like, oh, that's why my shoulder is bothering me, or something like that.
Yeah. So maybe he's just taking some time off. They're letting him rest. Michael Cole. Then we found out about the Pat McAfee. They did a little video for Pat McAfee, which was funny. That was nice. You could tell he openly said, like, I didn't know that was coming. Like, that's cool, you know. But he'll be back in January. I assume he's going to be back for the Netflix debut. That would probably be.
No, they said that.
They said that he's coming back. Yeah. All right, cool. And then we have our main event of the evening. It was Randy Orton, one-on-one with Ludwig Kaiser. I'll tell you what, man. Ludwig can go. Ludwig can go. That guy is good. That guy is good. Him and Randy had a great fucking main event here. This was a great main event. Back and forth. I thought Ludwig looked like he belonged in that ring with Randy Orton. And as somebody who's not that's how I'll always be able to tell, is when they're put in positions that they're not normally put in and they succeed. One thing about Otis way back when is Otis had this random ass match on NXT where he fought Tommaso Ciampa for the NXT title when Tommaso Ciampa just had turned into evil Tommaso Ciampa. And they had like a half-hour banger on NXT where Otis looked like he belonged in that ring every second he was in there. And at that moment, I was like, yep, this guy's got it. I'm with this guy. And when I see, like, a couple months ago when he broke his ribs, that match that Ludwig had with Sheamus that night, and this match with Randy in a main event spot on Monday Night Raw, and he knocks it out of the park like that, that is a dude. Like, that's a guy that's going to be around. Might not ever be a world champion, might not ever be a main eventer, but that's a dude that's going to have a spot on the roster for as long as he wants it. And I thought this match was really good. Gunther showed up about 2/3 of the way through, kind of hanging around ringside. Obviously, Orton hits an RKO out of nowhere, gets the victory at the end. And then we had the very rare since we've seen this way to end a Raw, Drew. We had Gunther and Randy Orton in the ring fighting each other, like brawling with each other. No security, just one-on-one, just kind of trading blows as the show goes off the air, and they're still fighting.
Yeah.
Been a while since we've seen kind of an ending like that, usually. I thought it was good, though.
We're at a time ending.
Yeah, I liked it. They used to do that more often back in the day. But again, I thought this was a great main event match. I thought the segment with what happened with him and Gunther kind of brawling a little bit after was really good. I'm genuinely pumped up for this main event next week. I think they're going to have a real good one with that German crowd. And I thought, again, I didn't think it was a spectacular. I didn't think it was as good as the last few weeks to a month of Raws we've seen. But there was a lot of stuff I liked. It was overall a pretty good show, but I thought the main event was a standout.
Yeah, it really was. Ludwig, good, very, very good. And probably, I'm sure everyone's picked up on when I talk like that about a male wrestler, it means something.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to leave it at that. I was like, you know what? I could go for another match between these two, honestly. And yeah, like you said, like Kaiser hasn't been put in a role. I did not do that intentionally. I promise you. Kaiser role.
No, I get it. I get it.
I for people that may not have gotten why I just did that. He hasn't been put in stuff like that usually. Like he's not a main event guy, main event match guy, or been put in such like a prominent role like that. And he succeeded, like you said.
Yeah.
I totally agree. And I can't believe I just said Kaiser role. That was insane. So yes, I'm really happy for him, and I like that they're still doing the thing with him and Gunther.
I agree.
What we didn't mention,
yes,
over on SmackDown.
Oh yeah,
did
Giovanni Vinci got a little
Giovanni
vignette.
Vinci.
Yes, Vinny Vinci.
Yes.
So he had nice sports cars. He had a good-looking girl in the vignette. He's going to be like this Italian. I don't know.
Well, that was what his gimmick was in NXT. Before they decided.
So they're kind of going back to that. They're kind of going back to that gimmick, huh?
So, like, okay, we'll see what happens there. But yeah, I like that they're still paired together, Gunther and Ludwig.
Agreed.
So, we'll see how this works out. If he plays a role in the match at Bash in Berlin. And yeah, Raw was not great this week.
Yeah, I mean, it was a solid show. Like,
matches were good.
Yeah. Here's my thing. A bad Raw nowadays is still dramatically better than 90% of the Raws we had to watch for the last like decade. So like when I'm watching a show like that last night and it's 3 hours and I'm like, oh, this has been all right, but it had nothing crazy has happened. To me, I'm like, this is still like, I didn't feel like it was a chore of me watching Raw last night, even though it wasn't as good as the previous 3 or 4 weeks. Like it didn't feel like, oh my God, I can't wait till this show is over. Like that, I didn't have that feeling. I was just like, all right, this is fine. This is a solid Raw. The matches were good, like you said. Like, and so that's kind of where I feel like that's where we are with WWE, is when like even if it's not a great show, it's not like some of those things that we had to watch for a long time. And there's a reason you stopped watching, Drew. There's a reason you stopped watching. So who knows? But we are going to
ironically, it was in the Triple H era that I stopped watching. But
yeah, but it was like kind of like he was in charge, but Vince was still around. That was kind of now I have a feeling where it's like this is what we're getting here. We're getting kind of shows that are going to make sense. Things are going to happen.
Scott, it didn't work, and it didn't work in NXT because it was the NXT 2.0 Vince McMahon, Bruce Pritchard era of NXT. I feel like I wouldn't hold it to the same standard now.
Yeah,
we'll see, of course.
Yes, and look, it very much might not work, and that's fine.
But you know, Pretty Deadly is on the show, so I think it'll work.
Wow, it should work. That would be actually a good pairing, to be honest with you. If they were kind of like his henchmen, like his funny English, like European henchmen.
I don't need the 2 or 4 quads anywhere near him.
Sure. Well, they're going to be tag champs at some point, relatively soon. So strap in, bro. That'll be the forever argument on here, is that I know the greatness of Pretty Deadly and Drew just doesn't yet. So I will sit here quietly until he realizes it, and then he can come. Yeah, and then he can come on this screen and go,
"Are we sure
JPJ,
about that?
I have something I need to say to you." And I go, "What is that, Drew?" And he goes, "You were right about Pretty Deadly." And I go, "I know I was. I know I was." But until then,
hold your breath on that one, pal.
Until then, Drew and I will see you right here on Thursday at 10 a.m. for Firmly AEW with our all-in preview, as that is happening Sunday. But until you guys see us, Drew, let the people know where they can find you.
You can find me on Twitter at Drew Nicholas. Read my bio, and you see everything that's going on.
That's it. See, he has nice little quick one thing. I'm over here like, oh, you got to go here and there and there. JPJ loves gaming everywhere. All of it. Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Threads, Instagram, everywhere. Facebook.
Your local bank, your grocery store.
Correct.
Everywhere.
Correct. It's not my legal name, so do whatever the hell you want. I'm not going to get in trouble. So that's where you can find me. You can find me here on Tuesdays with Drew, 10 a.m. You can find me here on Thursdays with Drew, 10 a.m. And you can find me here Thursday nights at 8 p.m. with my boy Pluggo, the flagship Between Two Beards. We appreciate everybody that hopped into the chat today. Good chat today. Ophelia, Scott. We had our new friend Eugene. The boss was in here. Tom Talks Rubbish was in here. Omar. We had a good chat today. Appreciate all the questions. Tanner Lee asking the good questions earlier today about Cody and stuff. Appreciate all the questions. You guys dictate. Obviously, we're reviewing the shows, but if you guys got questions about what we're talking about and it makes sense to what we're doing, like, we'll answer anything you guys got in the chat. So appreciate Tanner and Eugene with the questions from earlier. But me and Drew will see you guys here Thursday morning, 10 a.m. But until then, y'all know the drill. Peace out.